Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023. We're on men's stage number 4, so the midway point of our 7 stages across 8 days, 70k distance once again, but today is a monumental 1,320 meters. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action. I'll be joined very shortly by Emma Martin. Emma currently covering all of the women's race action, and once again, and if you've been watching, you know this has happened before, it has been an absolute cracker. It is well worth with lots of action from the word go, and the riders in basically the same world here in Arabia. So the men have 70k. They've got 1,320 meters, and as you can come out from the start, we have our big loop out around before coming on to our final climb. Remember, our final climb is incredibly tough stuff because we are making our way up the Jebel Hafit. This takes us right the way up to 69.3k, and then there will be a 700-meter run to the finishing line. As always, we have our sprint segments on the way through. They are indicated in green for you there, and as you can see, there are 5 sprint segments today, each worth 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 points. It's the same points for our category 4 mountain, with 5 points for the win and so on down, but those points are doubled when you go over to the big climb of category 1. That is then 10 points for the win, so a lot at stake towards the end of that section. Now you can see on that category 4 climb that it's going to be a really interesting section where we go into that, but before we get there, we've got to get right the way through these sprints, and they will do some damage on the way through. It's going to be very interesting to see who can take these out as we make our way in and through the segments here today. And of course, we'll be bringing you all of the action. All of our riders in categories 4, 3, 2, and 1 will be contesting exactly the same course today. So whether you are in category 4, which is our base category, or our top category, category 1, you will be making your way over those same mountains. Now, category number 4. First of our riders away. It has been some fantastic racing in there. Your teams in here, Team Alpha, once again taking to the start. We saw them really pushing on with Al Harabi doing exactly the same in the very early stages. The Saddle Squad, well, they've got some really strong riders in there, and Ian Lloyd at the moment is making sure that he keeps his hands on the jersey for the Masters. Cristiano Canup had a great ride yesterday, as did his team mate Michael Suarez, and Suarez at the end of the day putting in a fantastic performance on that climb. Now it's even bigger and even longer today, but we'll see whether it was an indicator yesterday. Team Poulidor, of course, always on the move, and Cavajal has really been their rider who's shown strongly so far. We'll see if he's going to continue to push onwards. Enrico Quadrelli and Alex Pledger have both been battling it out for the mountains and for the sprints, and we are really interested in the studio. Emma and I were talking about this earlier on. Sprocket Science team have an interesting quandary, because it's going to be really interesting to see how they allocate their resources between those 2 riders. So our riders are lined up and ready to go on that start line. Let's take a look at who has the jersey. Who took the jersey at the stage 3. So you can see that we don't have an under 23 rider in this category, but we do have all for the rest of the categories. So on the far right of your screen, the light blue, Ian Lloyd of the Masters competition. He's holding that jersey once again, doing a great job of that. Alex Pledger doing the business in the sprints. We saw a change with Quadrelli losing that polka dot jersey for the Mountains to his teammate, Michael Suarez. And Suarez was on serious form, taking top spot as well. Great riding by the team, but going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out as we go on to the bigger mountain stage. It's classed as a hard mountain stage today, and it comes immediately before the rest day tomorrow. So 4 stages, rest day tomorrow, and then we're back on stage 5 afterwards. Really, really key for the riders getting the recovery in and working out what their priorities are. Michael Suarez, does he want to take the mountains? Does he want to take the overall? More prizes for the overall than there are for the mountain competition. Now, Cristiano Ketup had a good ride yesterday as well. And you can see he is the rider we're going to be following the start here. And just looking at Cristiano, looks like that heart rate relatively low, 103 beats per minute as we move across to Bournemouth. So just keeping a check on the riders down on that start line. And with 3 minutes to go, they're into their final preparations. So the riders at home on their turbo trainer, maybe in the sports club, maybe at their team HQ, seeing some great pictures coming in on social media on the men's and the women's races of where people are riding. Are they riding solo? Are they on their own in their own personal pain cave? Are they in the clubhouse? Are they in the local gym? Are they down with their teammates? Have they all physically got together in the same place? And a lot of the teams have done this, which is really interesting to see. And some great pictures, some great images in there. Some great before and after pictures as well. Obviously, before looking all cool, calm, and collected. Afterwards, well, that is not quite the same. Now, Cristiano Ketup, a fantastic performance by him, and he's going to be a one to watch today, I think, as we come into the climb. A really experienced rider on our Sunday Race Club competition. So that is our competition that takes place every week, and you can just see him just pulling the lightning bolt out there, and the lightning bolt celebration made famous, of course, by Usain Bolt. So Ketup could well be the man. He races on the Sunday Race Club every single week, and it could well be his day today on this big mountain. And he's got to work out how he's going to put his energy in. As you can see, the Category 4 riders will set off before Category 3, 20 minutes the time gap between the two categories setting off. And it means we'll get plenty of action in those 20 minutes. We hit our first sprint at 5.7K, the first mountain segment coming in at 16.7. We will then hit the next sprint after that at 28.7. Absolutely loving the wave. And don't forget, of course, you can do exactly the same as Cristiano is doing here on the game. Download, jump on, whether you're on iOS, on Android, or on a Windows-based system. Get on board the game, and you'll find out exactly what you can do with your avatar and how many gestures you can put out there, whether it's taking turn and turn about, doing a lightning bolt, giving it a wave to everybody around, celebrating. Well, who will be celebrated into the last 45 seconds prior to the start of stage number 4. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023, our midway stage, we're in the amazing world of Arabia. We're going to be making our way up past Al Ain, the World Heritage Site, up onto the climb of the Jebel Hafit. This is going to be a big climb. It's going to be a big result at the end of the day. Who's going to be walking away with top spot? We're now heading for 10 seconds to the start of our Category 4 riders. Michael Suarez defending his yellow jersey against all comers around him. Will he take it away? It's time to find out. We go on stage 4. Away go our riders, and Ketup out of the saddle, sprinting out from the pens and making his way down onto the course very quickly here. So Ketup very fast out of the blocks, leading this ride out at the moment. And as you can see, looking to stretch the race out at the moment. Now, he is currently the leader on the road in the sprint and the polka dot mountains overall. You can see that to the left of the graphic on the right side of your screen. And the riders are moving away very fast. 35 kilometers an hour at the moment on what is a flat section of course. And at the moment, just about to come up to the half-kilometer covered. One group of riders all together, and this pack are now going to settle in and get themselves ready. We've got a reasonable distance to our first sprint segment at 5.7, but the terrain to get there is not simple at all. We come in, we've got 2 steps to the climb that comes up with a dip in between. So you can see the riders top right hand side of your screen are indicated by that green arrow. You can see the profile line directly above that. That is going to move across. And as it moves across from right to left, you can see the riders basically hit the first step. It then dips slightly. It kicks again even higher. And then we dip down to the sprint. And this means it is a tricky start for the riders here today. Now, just in with Hashan Harabi, who is currently one of our real aggressive riders in Category 4. He's been riding really well over the course of the stages. Get better, really, as the racing has progressed on. And that's one of the things that's very different here on the MyWhoosh Championships from a single day race, much like the Sunday race clubs, where we have one day. You just have to perform on that one day, whether that's one of our qualifiers, which are on the first weekends onwards, first Sunday onwards of every month, or whether it's the finals on the last Sunday of every month, where we have our team competition as well. There's still one day. You don't have to perform day after day after day. Here, we're hitting the climb for the first time, the first real ascent at 3%, moving up through those gradients. And this is on the back of 3 stages previously. Now, Al Harabi already on the front here, winding it up at 4.5 now, 5 watts per kilo. Now, we've seen him do this on a number of stages, really trying to push it to make the racing aggressive, to put people in trouble. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen the time gaps next to each of the riders' names. So from where we are, you can see that there are 4 seconds to our leaders from the main group here. And that is definitely yo-yoing up and down at the moment. But all of the key contenders in this group, when their numbers go red or yellow, that's when they're pushing on the pace. The red, the higher of the power outputs. So at the moment, those riders up and away. And it certainly looks to me like they are going to be giving it absolutely everything from the word go here. And it certainly looks to me like a number of these riders still feeling frisky after 4 days of competition, which is not the easiest thing to 3 days of competition coming into the 4th day. Not the easiest thing to do when you've been pushing it hard. Talking to a lot of the riders afterwards, and they've all been saying it has been an absolutely massive sufferfest for everybody as they've worked their way out and around through the days. Everybody is giving it absolutely everything. Big prizes at stake, and of course the bragging rights of being the champions as well, really key for many of our riders. So Category 4 stringing out, spreading out on here. The yellow jersey of Michael Suarez starting to just ramp up that power, not wanting to get gapped at this stage, and that is the danger. If you get distance, you're going to go over the top of part 1 of this climb. You can see the riders that come sweeping around the flyover. It's then going to drop down, and the riders on the front will start picking up the pace. If you're distanced now, it makes it much harder to get back in with the group as you go sweeping in, because the pace will pick up and the pack will move faster as the riders behind the leader will take advantage of that aerodynamic drag. As our riders come around past the big wheel, they go up on to the grid. You can see they're starting to sweep up the climb of going to start very shortly. Currently minus 1.4% for the riders on this descent. It will soon turn into an ascent, and the gradient will peel away. It'll go past 0, and then they will be heading back up again. Our category 3 is still lined up with plenty of time to get prepared. And as we now go into the positive numbers, that means that the gradient is increasing as a climb. And you can see that on the top right-hand side of your screen, now going up into a yellow box with white writing there as we move over the 2% marker. We are going to hit 3% now. And then the long drag up. When we come over the summit of this drag, we're then going to descend down and we go into our sprint. Remember, all of the sprints on the championships are 300 meters. So a long sprint, most riders can sprint for 200 meters, but put 300 meters in the mix, and then the riders have to use tactics as well. And we've seen on the women's race real masterclass in sprinting by a number of the riders on there, getting the timing and the power delivery right. So very interesting to see how the guys do this. A very technical run into the sprint once you get over the other side, but at the moment these riders just dealing with the undulations, a little bit of a split starting to break in the pack, and they're going to have to respond to the movement on the front. Interestingly, it is Enrico Quadrelli who is up in the mix with Booth there, but at the moment these two riders continue to push on here, and Quadrelli at over 3 watts per kilo. He's forcing the rest of them to sit at a reasonable pace here as they come up this climb. You can see the gradient just peaked up to 1.7 again, but they're going to continue onwards. There's still another couple of fluctuations in that gradient before they go over the top and start dropping down. But at the moment, 3.77 on the clock in terms of distance, 7 minutes of racing time already underneath the riders' wheels and in their bodies, and that is just today on stage 4. 25 kilometers now the speed they're traveling. So the riders on the right, they're your category 4 riders. They are the leaders on the road. We're in with Ian Lloyd on the right hand side of your screen, our Masters leader. On the left hand side, you can see the talented rider. He's now in the 3rd box from the left, and that is Stefan Hedina. And Hedina is looking very, very strong. He's wearing the yellow jersey of our GC leader. He's also, in fact, holding the under-23 competition and is an absolute class act at the moment. He is definitely showing he's one to watch. In category 3, though, he's not having it all his own way. We've seen Ephraim Mamba on the attack. We've seen Jack Staples trying to take away the win, and an absolute battle. Meanwhile, category 1, well, there's still so much time. I think the riders warming up, maybe grabbing a coffee, get some food on board, just fueling up for their last ingestion of something to keep them going on the way through to the finish. They don't want to eat too late into the stage, but we're back with category 4, and this group are together as we hit the 3% of the upper slopes. Is somebody going to push on over the top to try and carry that momentum through? I'm not sure they're going to break the group at this stage. They're just starting to stretch once again. You can see how much height we've gained on this amazing view down from the top of the bridge through the balustrade at the side, with the mountains in the background and the city below. You can see up above the multi-stories as well. What a great view as we look down on these riders. The sea to their left, you've got the trees surrounding them, and the descent starts, so they're going to start picking up speed at 43, now 45 kilometers an hour, and this descent increasing in its gradient. It'll then level out. We'll make our way down into the sprint coming at 5.7 kilometers. So the riders at 5.1, 600 meters, in fact just a little less than that now as we come down in towards sprint number 1. So the Ajman Bridge sprint, 5.7 to 6 kilometers on today's course, coming in almost halfway to the first of our main climb sections. And it's going to be a fast running and that makes it a little bit more difficult for the riders in terms of getting the pacing right. Now, the people who are watching and have been paying attention, if that's you'll know that to have the fastest time in the sprint, generally you have to come from the back of the pack to the front and get the timing right to use draft. As we come down over the Ashburn sprint, this is a very quick sprint. You can see it dropping down here. Nobody kicking off from the pack yet. Now starting to wind it up. It's there. Nobody wanted to lead this out. So a real cagey sprint here. Normally you'd see somebody charging in from the back of the group here. Kennup in the sprint jersey waited and waited. He's gone over the line first. But remember, this is about the time to go through. Just seeing whether or not Kennup has managed to get that. It's here we come, and this is going to be the results on the screen, and he doesn't. So you can see Cavajal taking the fastest time from Alex Pleasure, then Cristiano Kennup. Pleasure taking the jersey yesterday, the overall jersey being worn by Kennup. So a real battle between those two, but Cavajal is by no means out of this, and he had the fastest time in that sprint. And even though he didn't put out the most watts or the most watts per kilo, his time the fastest because he used the draft the most effectively. By draft, that's hiding behind the other riders, using them to push the air out of the way so you expend less watts. So Kennup holding on to the jersey at the moment with that points total. But Pleasure has held that jersey before, and he has taken the daily totals. But as we go day by day, of course, it adds up. Michael Suarez still holding the yellow jersey. That won't change until we get up on to the top of the climb. But at the moment, the group back together again, having gone through sprint number one. They're heading across towards climb number one. And our number one climb, 3.3k long, 2.8% average gradient, getting 94 meters of ascent. It's a big kick up. And just as importantly, after the climb, we drop even further down and we have a stepped ascent. And this is going to be a climb that the riders are very familiar with if they've raced on our Sunday Race Club. It basically is a climb that has seen some very, very decisive moves going clear. So around that right-hand turn at the moment, the amazing graphics here on MyWhoosh, really showing off the sunset, the palm trees glistening in the sunshine, the shade being cast across the road. Nobody taking advantage of a lack of vision as you might have done if you're out and racing in the on the roads instead of on MyWhoosh, and that's quite something because everybody gets great graphics here. And you can see this group all together making the way down this straight. Dromard, the rider that we are in with at the moment, at 7.66 kilometers. And Florian Dromard, another of our regulars in the Sunday Race Club, very experienced rider. Looking at the moment like he's just tucked in here, and this group not wanting to stretch it out too much. Another of our rises, you can just see getting a little bit more height over the water down at the side of the riders on the right hand side. But then as you can see, the road following the avenue of palm trees round and curving around to that right hand side, just going to level off before it starts to dip back down again to the shoreline. And being able to read the screens, being able to know where the course goes, having ridden on MyWhoosh, really key for the riders. Don't forget, of course, if you want to have a go, jump on. It's really easy. Download the app from www.mywhoosh.com. All of the links on there, and that will take you in. And then jump on board, get connected up to your turbo trainer. If you want any help on that, don't forget, of course, the chat is always available on the website. That will pop up, and you can chat with the guys on there, get some help and advice. And, of course, there are lots of great videos on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. So you might be watching on our Twitch TV /MyWhoosh live channel at the moment. But don't forget, of course, lots of instructional videos with Jeff explaining how to connect a second power meter, how to jump on, how to personalize your avatar, you name it, it's on there, and some great videos. So make sure you have a watch there. Jeff running you through taking you through how to get involved, jump on board, and get some of the great riding and get the scenery that has improved time and time up on your screen. So category 4 well underway. Category 3, well, we're in to the last 4.5 minutes or so now, and as you can see, riders joining the race start, jumping into the pens all the time. So the Go Hard team in here, Luca Bala having some great sprint power yesterday, really opening up the throttles on the way through. But Valencia, the rider who has sat in there second in the sprints and in the mountain competition, but they are the #1 team. In the surprise team, well, it has been Esteban Valencia, who has been leading them out, currently sitting in 5th position overall as we were finishing our prep and going into air. The Vuelta Colombia team, well, the man at the moment is Cacao, who has really opened up the throttles, been riding very strongly, currently sitting in 4th position. The Battlers team, this is the team in 2nd place. Cartai Salius has shown that his sprinting has been second to none. He's even taking tips, I think, from the women's race that we've just seen earlier on. I know he's watching that. Quick Spec team, well, they are the team who have, I think, still something to prove here. Efrain Mamba has been poking his nose out the front and really pushing. Will he be able to make it count on the mountains today? He's up against the MyWhoosh Beast squad, and the MyWhoosh Beast squad's team in 3rd position with Hadina on the squad, and he's backed up by a really strong cast of riders with Taylor Gonsulin. Well, he's 3rd in the sprint competition at the moment, but Stefan Hadina really has shown that he is a class act. He's the rider actually we've sat one behind him, and he's the rider all in yellow for a reason. Let's get that confirmed. So here we go. Here are our jerseys from Stage 3, the Stage 3 winners. Hadina sitting in the white jersey. Phillips taking the stage win, taking the mountain points yesterday. Cartai Salius taking the sprint points yesterday, and Taylor Consulin taking the Masters jersey. But remember, these are yesterday, not the overall. In terms of the overall, as you've already seen, Hadina down the start line in the yellow jersey as the overall wearer at this stage. So the jersey that they wear in the stage is the culmination of all 3 stages to date. But great riding yesterday. If you haven't seen any of the stages, don't forget you can go back and watch them. You can watch them on the Twitch TV, that's /MyWhoosh Live, or you can get them on the YouTube channel. You can watch the women's stages as well, and you can catch up with all of the race action. So going to be really interesting. Big climb to finish here today. Just sat in with Luca Bala. Now, Bala had a really strong ride yesterday in those sprints. As you can see, though, it is Stefan Hadina flying out the lightning bolt celebration just in front. You can see that going up, and the chance to say, let's go, to express yourself. All part of jumping on and becoming more and more the case. And of course, our riders able to leave their mic open or to mute it on the way through as they want to, as you can. If you're going to jump on with your friends, you can sit there and have a chat, or you can listen to who's suffering the most on the game as you ride your way around these amazing worlds. So category 3 into the last 45 seconds, time for our riders to get themselves sorted out. Our team competition, the Go Hard team, are the team that are leading with Bala, the rider that we are in with at the moment. They're going to want to hold on to the top team overall. Big prizes at stake in categories 4, 3, 2 and 1. Who's going to take away today's stage winning prize? Remember, there's a win bonus for the riders who take away the stage win, the sprint win, and the mountains win per stage. We will take it as we get ready to set off on stage number 4. So here in the MyWhoosh Championship Stage 4, Category 3, it's time to go and hit the roads as we head out into Arabia on a hard mountain stage, 70 kilometers, 1,320 meters of ascent in front of these riders as they make their way out and quickly up over 20 miles an hour, over 32 kilometers an hour, now heading up for 40 kilometers an hour to keep in with that pack. And at the moment, one group, all our riders out safely as they headed out from the start. And you can see Taylor Conzulin just in there in the green jersey at the moment. You see Michael Phillips, he's the rider holding the polka dots jersey at the moment. They are indicated to the left-hand side of that rider bar at the side of the screen there. So you can see the riders, and that is in real time. So that is as we go through. So you'll be able to see that change as we make our way in. But of course, all our riders know you have to take a stage race day by day, one day at a time. And at the moment, Category 3 out from the pens. Category 4, though, they are at 11.8k. They are on the climb, and we are starting to see Carvajal just start to open the throttles, but he's not broken clear. Now we're going to see Carlos continue to push on here. This Carlos Alberto Espina Hernandez. And at the moment, he is leading out, but the rest of this group are very attentive. Kenup not letting anything go. Neither is Quadrelli in here. And they know that this is the first big push up this climb. You can see it starting to wind its way up through the gorge, the rock walls surrounding the riders, and Hernandez now up to 5 watts per kilo. So that is the power to weight as he goes into the tunnels. So you come into this climb, we make our way into the gorge, and then we head under into the underwater tunnels here, and you can see the riders at the moment letting Hernandez go. Carlos Espina Hernandez opening the gap up here, 4 seconds. It's not decisive at this stage, and this is a long climb to the top. When we get to the top of this climb, it's very deceptive. You've got to be in with the group, because as you drop out the other side, it's a big descent. Not mountainous, but still big, and it's big enough to break the group. So as you go over the top, you've got to pay attention. You drop down, and then you have a 2-stage step climb up to the crossroads in Arabia that signify the change in direction for the riders, and that is a really key point. We've seen it break races in the Sunday Race Club. We're likely to see it break races here today, even at this early stage. The gap's been opened, being closed at the moment pretty much at will by the riders. So at the moment, continuing to push, nicely tucked in with that leading the group. Ospina Hernandez pushing on the power, pushing on the pedals. You can see the number 1 rider on the road just lighting the screen up in orange and then into red as he accelerated up through, but not breaking that group, just squeezing to make sure he stays on at the front. The group regroups here, and again another squeeze as the riders are just trying to make sure they hold position. Nobody will want to be distanced here as we come up through the tunnels. As you can see on your screens, Category 4 now on to that climb on a 3.9%. The riders in Category 3, they're already at the 4.5, 4.6%, and this is the climb that comes in prior to sprint number 1. It's not a categorized climb, it's just one of the undulations over the bridges, over the flyovers here in the Arabian world on MyWhoosh. But it is a substantially enough climb to cause some riders problems, particularly if they've not got their recovery right from the previous days, and if they're not lined up ready to go on that start line. This climb coming in, and at the moment we're only on 2 kilometers into the 70-kilometer race for Category 3. in there in the blue jerseys. That is going to be really interesting. It's a definite push coming from category 3. One rider just starting to stretch the legs, to go off the front here, just opening up a little bit of a gap, and the response needs to come pretty quickly here. And you can just see Quadrelli going on the top. So Filippo Quadrelli it is. He's got the gap. Camelcanth and Santiago chasing behind. Dadson coming after him. Demanu and Bala, Staples. Mamba is right up there. Looks like everybody rotating through in this category 3 race. They want to pull back Filippo Quadrelli. They do not want to let anybody go, I think, here. But Quadrelli really pushing on the pedals here. He's going through. He's currently sitting consistently between 1 to 2 watts per kilo higher than that chasing group, and that's helping him stay away. So left-hand side of your screen, category 3 at 2.8K. Right-hand side of your screen, they are currently at 13.8 kilometers. So 2 Quadrellis on your screen. It is Filippo on the left-hand side. It's Enrico on the right-hand side of your screen here. Both from the same family, both pushing on well here. And at the moment, Enrico tucked into this. So great to see them up and racing, and we see this time and time again. We see the riders coming in and through, and they are definitely family. It's not just that they have the same name, like if you're called Smith in the UK or Sanchez in Colombia, because there's a lot of Sanchez in Colombia, but Quadrelli definitely in the same family and doing a great job here on the front. Maybe they're sat side by side. Guys, if you're watching, if you're listening, send us a picture or get somebody to send us a picture. Maybe there's more than one Quadrelli, or 2 or 3 or 4. Get a picture sent over, put it onto social media, tag at MyWhoosh, tag in at Matt Fixer Pain, tag in at Biking Emma. We want to see you guys. Are you racing in different worlds, different planets, different countries, or are you sat side by side, both suffering at the same time, both going on the attack at the same time? That's really great to see, and one of the great features. Look at this, he's going again. So this is a moment to clip and put up on your social media channel. If your name is either Filippo or Quadrelli or Enrico Quadrelli, you've got that up on your screens. And that's what we love to do. We love to see our riders all in all our different categories really taking the racing on. And then gotta be said, the riders in category 4, they are working hard now. They are coming up towards the summit of the climb here. And that is going to come in pretty quickly. You can just see it's going to open up. How it works, as you come out here, you go round this right-hand bend, and you can see top right-hand side of your screen, the tunnel will end. The riders will go out in the open. The speed will pick up. They will descend down and go back in the tunnel. When they go out over the top, if there's a gap and a big group on the front, anyone not in the big group will find themselves distance, and it's really hard to get back on here. Speaking from experience, I've tried this. Very, very tough on this section here. So staying with the leaders as you come over the top, absolutely key. You can see they come out, and we are just out. You can see on this little lake section, the waterfall out to the rider's left. The speed picks up as we're into the descent. Now, this is a 2-stage descent as well. We do have a little riser halfway down, but you can carry momentum from the top of this descent, the top section of the descent, into that little riser and then down again. And this looks to have broken a little bit of air into the group, but everyone working. And if you do get back, you've had to work pretty hard to get back on again. And at the moment, you can just see taking time, a bit of time for our riders to rejoin the group, the big contenders right in there. So the leaders in category 4 all together at the front of the race in category 1. Filippo Quadrelli still holding the front of that race. And the gap has opened up. So the gap currently sitting at about 19 to 20 seconds as a minimum, going up to about 30 as a maximum between Camelcanth and the chasers and our leader, Filippo Quadrelli. So that gap is still there. And are we going to see a response to this? I can't imagine that Filippo wants to ride from where he is now, approaching 5K, whether he's going to want to ride the remaining 65 kilometers solo. I guess if he took the win at the end of it, he probably would, but that is a big, big ask, and I think that is probably going to be beyond all of our riders here today to go off from kilometre zero. So going back in with category 4, you can just see Enrico Quadrelli. I'm not sure what they had for breakfast. Maybe it was extra pasta for breakfast, because they are absolutely flying this morning. Did you have a great recovery pasta last night? Tell us what you had for tea last night. I'm always interested in what the riders eat in terms of fuel and putting on board as recovery and for breakfast. I know when I was racing in Italy, every breakfast there would be a big bowl of spaghetti down there and the pasta for breakfast. And when I first went out there, I thought they were crazy. And when I finished racing in Italy, I thought they were absolutely brilliant and genius, because it really kept you going day after day. And they had a cold meat and lots of protein in there as well to get that recovery right at the hotel where the team was staying. Now, in through the sprint, these riders go. We're looking for a fast pace as they come in underneath the line. You're just seeing one or two riders coming through a little bit late in there with the sprint. So that timing not great on the way through there. And it looks like Carvajal, though, doing the job. Juan Pablo Jimenez Carvajal ahead of Marcus Carvajal over in there. So Carvajal behind for the Red Racers. Poulidor taking top spot. Pleasure scoring once again for the Sprocket Sightseeing. Then Drummer, then Kennup, then Decker, then Meyer, then Suarez. So really interesting results. Now we're going into the category 3 sprint. This is a downhill sprint on the bridge. Bala has got the timing really nicely here. Has he got it nailed? He goes in underneath. He didn't use the group all the way through the sprint there. He didn't get out the front of the group. Will this result in the fastest time? It doesn't. Carl Salius has the fastest time, and he did that with more watts, more power to weight in terms of watts per kilo. His heart rate substantially higher as well, but he takes that point. And this battle between Luca Bala and Carl Salius is one of the great races here on the championships. They're absolutely fighting it out between each other here. Great to see. And, of course, we've got Stefan Hadid. Look at that. He was in there also contesting that, taking a point away in the sprint competition. So let's take a look at the riders and the results here. So you can see Taiselius from Bala from De Manuan. Then you can see it's going to be in the right-hand side, your top riders. Well, that is Carvajal from Carvalho from Pleasure. They're the top 3 in each of our 2 categories, categories 3 and 4 respectively. And you can see the difference on the road, about 12 kilometers separating those riders. Top of your screens, category 1 and 2 awaiting their race start. 7 minutes for category 2, 27 for category 1. So just under half an hour till our last race start here on stage 4. But all of these groups are lined up at the same start line. 2 groups gone and clear, and away from the start category, and 3 well down the road. So great work, great scenery, and very different scenery for our riders as they make their way out from the race start. And you can see different terrain all mixed in. And one of the wonders, of course, of esports is that when you ride on MyWhoosh, you are in a different world. You have got the very dull sections that you get. I'm currently coming to you from France, from our studios here in France, and we have some really lovely scenery interspersed every now and then by a really long dull Roman road that is deadly straight and very boring. Now on esports, on MyWhoosh, what we do, get rid of all the straight bits of road, give you the really fun bits, and that is really key. And that's the great thing about the esports platform, that of course it's all killer with no filler, because we can jump our riders from one place to another, and that is fantastic to see, because of course it gets us right into the mix. Now Mark Dadson looking like he's trying to make a move to go close down the gap, stretching this group out. They can see that they've got Quadrelli in front. Canth immediately responding to that. Camel Canth is marking all of the moves out at the moment, but both Quadrellis on the front of the race. Now, is this a very determined team tactic? Is this about getting airtime, or is this about saying, right, my turn now. You've had a bit of a play. We're going to go for this. And at the moment, Enrico leading on the right-hand side in category 4. They're at 19.2 kilometers. So they are making the way out from the depression that comes after that climb. So we talked about climb number 1 and that big climb up. We then drop down. And as you drop down into the depression. Then there is this climb up towards the crossroads. And that part of the climb, this dive out, so you come from the tunnels, you climb out and through. You've got the dunes out to your left-hand side. You can just see that gradient is stepped. It has a habit of breaking the racing up. It always does on a Sunday race stop, always puts people under pressure. And again, it's doing that now. You're starting to see riders like Suarez start to push up here, not want to get caught the wrong side of a gap. And that has meant that the pace has gone up. They've caught back Enrico Quadrali, and he now needs to hang with that leading group. Meanwhile, Filippo Quadrali on the bottom left of your screen, working well. So the riders in categories 3 and 4 absolutely flat out, separated by the mountain and the descent. The first climb and the descent out on the screens. Category 2, though, they're not long before they are going to be our next riders out on course, because category 2, of course, is the next of our starters here on the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023. So will our category 2 riders be following category 3 and 4 in that aggressive start? There's no Quadrali in category 2. Just been doing a quick scan through our start sheets, but no Quadrali in category 2. So it does mean the emphasis will be on the riders to make the running themselves. They're not going to have the advantage of having a Quadrali to wind things up. Meanwhile, you can just see Theb at the front here, just keeping the pace high. He moves to one side. He's got Ken up for company right on his shoulder, not hanging about here. Quadrali again goes up onto the front of this group. Just taking a look through, looks like Pleasure is in here as well, one of our key riders, but the gaps are open, and Al Harabi at the moment just being distanced back away from that leading group at the front of the race here on the climb out from the tunnel descent, the tunnel climb and descent, followed by this step climb up towards the crossroads. And at the moment, you can just see Al Harabi making his way up onto the second part of that climb. And this is where he's going to need to really push on. He does have riders behind him, but they are a fair distance behind. And that means that if he waits for them, he's going to be losing even more time in the overall. But then he would have company, and that is really, really important. Still got 50k to go. That's a long way to ride solo. Or he can push on. Might not catch the group, but may well find that riders also get distance from that leading group of riders. At the moment, there's 14 riders in front. Right on the front, though, it's Kenneth who's leading them up here. The rest of the group, though, very quickly onto his wheels. Kenneth's not going to get give him very much room at all to work. So you can just see the lead of this group pushing the way up round here in category number 4, making the way around this long sweeping left-hand turn. We've got category 3 pushing the way in towards the drop down that takes them in towards the climb. So Kamalkath at the moment at 10.8k. So he's going to come around, sweeping around and go in to the climb. You can just see Quadrali on his way down and in. So they drop down through town, and then they're going to pick up the climb on the way out. So nearly 20 minutes of racing done for category number 3. Taylor Consulin nicely in this group, not going too far as he goes down. They've still got Quadrelli in front. Our category 2 riders, well, not long till they go. We're on the last 10 seconds of their countdown. So category 2 are going to be underway very shortly indeed. Here we go, away from a race start they go. So category 2 underway here, the biggest field of riders in here as they take the turns and hit the course proper, heading into town to kick off the racing here on the MyWhoosh Championships. So these riders away, looks like everybody out nice and cleanly in category number 2, which means our riders now know they can get settled in. Our teams led out by Team Tapas, the Team Tapas team. Great rise from Mayer and Howeiler. They're the 2 leading riders in 3rd place overall for Howeiler, 5th for Mayer. The cyclists squad, well, they've got a 3rd place in the sprints for Dutch. You've also got strong riding in the mountains at the moment from Nicholas Spratt. They are their 2 leading riders at the moment. The Hubbard squad also riding really strongly as well. And we've seen Krasnich and Curtin really putting in some great rides. Will they come into their own on this big mountain? Quite possibly so. The Café de Colombia squad, well, you've got Cristiano Maglio. He's leading overall on GC after the 3 days. And the Akatsui team now pushing it into the top 5 overall. Andres Duque moving into 4th place overall, also well up there in the mountains competition. Hexagon 2, well, they're riding really strong, and could well be that as we go into the mountains, they're going to start to push the way further up through the start. Let's take a look across at the KOM's power team. And of those riders, Uys is the rider who's riding the strongest in the mountains. We'll see if he is going to be able to continue to go onwards. Parisi with a good day yesterday. Now, the Steel Wheels squad have been running definitely very strong indeed, and Ruiz looking very good in that squad. The elite leftover squad, well, Pacheco has been their rider really of the race. He's 2nd at the moment in the sprint competition overall. We also have 3 very strong individuals riding not as a team. Hassan Al-Ramethri, Hassan Sultan in there as well, but Al-Ramethri could be the one to watch today with that big long climb. Now, the stage 3 winners, Cameron Winfield taking the white jersey, the fastest rider in the under-23 competition. Maglio taking the yellow jersey of the fastest rider on the day in the yellow jersey. You've got Luis Reyes taking the Masters win in stage 3. Dutch and Parisi with the sprint jersey and the polka dot jersey. But remember, that is for stage 3, not for the overall. So may well not be those riders who are wearing those going in and through and onwards. But Maglio currently looking the strongest. So category 2 away. They are well on the road now, coming up to 2 kilometers. Coming up to 13 kilometers is category 3, and the riders in category 4 currently at 24k. But we're in with the riders at the moment. It's Alessio Caligula. So Caligula has been a relatively quiet rider in category 2 to date. May have a game plan that he's been keeping his powder dry, but look at this, 6.5 watts per kilo kick going over the top here. This is he goes over the top of the first part of the climbing away from the start line. So a flat start, then ramping up 2 stage. So you can just see the damage that's being done. The chase on after Caligula, And behind, these riders really do have to squeeze. They've got to push on here as they continue to try and close back. And it's caused all sorts of consternation in the bunch here. Castameo has seen the danger. He's gone after Maglio and Caligula. And Maglio and Caligula are the riders who are now starting to stretch this out. Really good to see aggressive racing here. And we are not on a categorized climb. This is from the gun. So Category 2 living up to reputation once again, because they are really taking this on and opening up the throttles very, very early. Now, Caligula and Maglio are teammates. They're on the same team. They are pushing clear, and Mayer of the Team Tapas team has chased the two riders from Cafe Colombia down. He has gone onto the wheels. Now Jonas Bjarhed makes the catch as well. So Bjarhed making the catch, getting on to the wheels. Really interesting racing and very, very aggressive at such an early stage. I think this is going to do damage to a lot of legs before we even get anywhere near a categorized climb. And again, another move going off the front of Category 2. So 1 on the start line, 2 with another rider starting to go clear, 3 with the solo leader in Quadrelli, 4 we've seen constant attacks, and this time now it's Moreno. Guess which team? It's the Cafe de Colombia team who's going on the attack again. So we've seen Moreno, Caligula and Maglio all go hard on the front. They know this course inside out. They've raced up and down the roads of Arabia on the Sunday Race Hub, and I think they're using that experience here today, because you've got 3 of their most experienced riders in Moreno and Caligula, as well as Maglio going on the attack, doing a 1-2 there, and Moreno is now the rider on the front. Mayer has done some chasing here. Now it's Quintero who is picking up the reins, trying to close down. So is Cadiz. They are trying to pull back at Moreno now, and Cadiz running for the elite leftovers squad, trying to pull that gap back down. Then you can see it's Quintero. He's from the KOM's power squad. He'll be looking for the climb, surely, to do the work here. This is not a categorized climb. This is just the uphill ascent away from the line. And in Category 2, the Cafe de Colombia squad have absolutely lit the touch paper and let off the fireworks. And we are nowhere near the end of the race. We are at the very start of it at the moment. This is frantic stuff, and you can see everybody is trying to answer this on the way through. So these riders continue to push on here. Everybody trying to close the gap down at the moment. And everybody trying to get themselves back up into position in Category 2. You can see the chase is on. So really interesting screen. So here we go, climbing up on to the bridge. Now, we saw action over here across from the side of the balustrade as we came up onto the bridge. This is the top of that climb as we come away from the start line. Really interesting watching these riders going up over the top of the climb and starting to make their way down into the descent. Speed picking up 47 kilometers an hour. Just watching the riders drafting or not drafting as they come in and through. Looks like Quintero tucked in with this group and not doing too much work at the moment. He's closed down those gaps. We're waiting to see who's going to go again. Another attack going off the front. I'll put your money in it. So a member of the Cafe de Colombia squad it's Johan Moreno this time. I tell you something, they're on some seriously strong Colombian coffee today. they were doing the espressos. I think they've done triples, never mind double espressos, as Moreno is this time has put a little bit of a dig in. He's wound it up. Bjarhead going after him, and this is the run into the sprint. Remember, this is our rundown. We've seen it before. Now into the sprint. Who's going to take this out? Look for a rider coming from the back to the front at pace. Looking to see somebody pick this up. It's downhill, so you expect to see that fast run come in the middle of the group as coming in and through. We've seen the numbers coming up. Let's see who's going to get this. It looks to me like we are going to get Maglio taking that on the way down. So Maglio from Mare, from Parisi, from Spratt. So those are the segment details. So the Cafe de Colombia squad clearly on form today. Now, jumping back in with our Category 4. They're hitting their sprint. This is at 16.7 Ks. This is sprint number 2. So this is the Sharjah sprint. They are hitting that sprint in Category 3. They're on the way in and through. Who's going to take that? Well, they're going to be charging the way down and through. Don't forget, of course, we've got Category 1 still down on the start line as well. So Category 2, an update on that sprint. And looks to me like that is going to be another fast time now. Pacheco coming through over the top of Simmons, then Diduch, then Sultan coming in and through. A really interesting time, 17 seconds for that 300 meters, and it shows you just how fast that bridge descent is. 17.79, and that is a very deliberate sprint because we've seen him come through and charge through to take that, and it is 1.4 of a second faster than Simmons on a 18-second. That is a big sprint, and downhill, very fast, very short time. So keeping our eye on these sprint times for these riders at the moment as they go through, as well as where the riders are on the course, and of course on the start line of our Category 1. 4 categories, 5 sprints, our climbs, including that mountaintop climb to come. Now, Category 4 hitting their next sprint time. They're at 28 kilometers. So they are on the way. This is a sprint number 3 for Category 4. Big hit coming in and through. Look at the amount of red. Quadrelli's on the front. He's not contesting the sprint. He's trying to stay clear. He's going to get caught, I think, as they come through the line. He's not going to have the fastest time because he's been pulled back. But look at Pledger and Quadrelli in there. Who's going to take this one? It's Pledger who takes it. It's Cavajal, then Dromard, Theb, Cavajal, and Kennup. Really interesting that. So all the big contenders, Theb, Dromard, Cavajal, Kennup, Cavajal, all giving best to Pledger. He scores 5 points. And this is incredibly competitive in our Category 4 race. Brilliant to see as they make their way through the sprint line there. I tell you something, these guys are going to have some seriously sore legs when they hit the mountains because they are having to take every sprint seriously if they are wanting to take points in the sprint competition. And maybe that they feel that this is worth it. They're not going to climb well enough on the climb, but a risky option because you're putting a lot of energy down. So the riders are on the way down. Don't forget, of course, 4 categories in our racing. 52 minutes of racing, nearly 53 covered for Category 4. They were the first of our riders away. The last group of riders away will be our Category 1 riders. The cream of the crop, the top of the tree. And the teams, the riders, all now into their final preparations. We are 6.5 minutes away from race start. Let's bring you your teams. The Belgian Waffles team, well, they currently have Martin Martens in 3rd in the competition overall. You've got strong rising sprints mounted by Vajasin and Kaminsky. The Sticky Bun Club. Well, we have some great performances, and worth noting, Ross Fawcett has been sprinting through, taking the overall lead in that sprint competition, and he's been doing it by riding smart, not just by riding fast. In the Gelato squad, absolute revelation, Damon absolutely pinging. He's second overall on GC. He's also riding strongly in the mountains, absolutely flying. And Zach Nair currently fourth overall after a strong ride yesterday. The Beast Mode squad, again, another strong rise by them. And we're going to see how Tim Cutler goes today. He was absolutely flying yesterday. The Hexagon 1 squad, well, the riders there in terms of the overall, and don't forget to Ricardo Panizza. His ride yesterday put him right up in the mix, sitting in third position in the general classification overall. And the last of our squads, by no means least, it's the UAE clan team. We have our overall leader, Michael Vink, in here. He solo clear to victory yesterday. We also have our Masters leading in Mr. X100 SS working his absolute socks off on there, along with Pablo Popovic and Michael Knudsen. And talking to the team after yesterday, they were saying they were doing a lot of work closing down and chasing down riders, but are up and are ready for it today. So going to be really interesting to see how that continues onwards. Michael Vink holding the yellow jersey of the winner of yesterday. Yesterday's sprint winner was Ross Fawcett, taking that sprint win. Pin Damon taking the mountain points competition yesterday. Mr. X100 taking the Masters jersey yesterday. So the riders have got the jerseys. So they were the winners yesterday in stage 3, but stage 4, well, we thought yesterday was hilly. It was, but it's nothing as compared to today. We have a brutal finish to part 1 of the tour because, of course, we are on 7 stages. Today is stage 4, and that means that we are on the day before the rest day. How are we going to finish off 4 days of competition? Well, this is how we're going to do it. 70 kilometers of racing here in Arabia and in one of my favorite worlds on MyWhoosh. We start off in town, we work our way through the city roads before heading out and around, and then it's on to that climb. And we're going to finish right at the summit of the Jebel Hafit. As you can see, 687 meters of climbing in the final climb. All the rest of that climbing on the way through will add up, but that final climb should be decisive. We have on the way our 5 sprints and that sprint point competition. Currently, Fawcett absolutely flying. He's the rider who has been riding very, very smart indeed. It is his birthday during the tour. He's had his birthday, and there is a cycling fable that is there. It's a myth. It may well be true that around your birthday you ride at your strongest. Well, he's certainly really strong, and he's taking those points. In terms of the chase and places to watch out for, after climb number 1, you can see that the profile shows you a dip. We go downhill through the Sharjah sprint, down into the low point of the course for the day. Now, from that point, we then climb up again. So we go up the climb, down, and then we re-climb up. That is a key point. And in Category 1 racing on the Sunday Race Club, you can guarantee that riders will go on the offensive there. So the riders will be taking the offensive on that part of the course. We will see if they are the ones who are going to be in there. Will they be the ones with the cake at the end of this? Will they be looking forward to their day off, having a positive point of view and taking forward a win? Or will they be the ones consoling themselves that they never got a birthday card? A bit like Ross Fawcett from me as the riders go in and through into their rest day, desperately looking for, searching for some form, searching for something to get them through those final 3 days. So let's see who can take this out. We're down towards the final minute. Well, here we go. This is when the nerves start jangling. This is when the riders know that they've got to put it out there. And if you've been having a tough time so far, you've got to hope you've got better legs today, because we have got a brutal finish today. The Jebel Hafeet climb has tested the riders in the UAE Tour. It's tested the riders from the GCN squad when they went out and looked at it. The riders in the women's tour have used it, and we are using it here. This is the first of our Category 1 climbs with 10 points on offer, and it comes at the end of the stage. 30 seconds to race start for Category 1. Who can take this out? Will it be Fawcett? Well, his avatar's looking pretty thin. He clearly didn't eat too much of that birthday cake, but he's got to make it work today for him. Here we go. 15 seconds now on the clock. We are into the final countdown. This is when they've got to get out cleanly out and not use too much energy. We've seen riders go very hard from the gun. It rises up from this start line. This is the moment where they've got to be able to get the power down, and away they go. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships, it's stage number 4. It's category number 1. Away we go for 70 kilometers and 1,320 meters of climbing. And we're being led out by Mr. X100 of the UAE clan team. So Mr. X100 at 6.5 watts per kilo, kicking out clear. Cutler up on to his heels, very, very fast indeed. And we have seen the UAE clan team working together as a team to try and keep everybody else on the back foot. Experienced esports racers like Lucas and Asker have been working hard. They'll be sat in there. We are going to see what Zanaska can do on this big climb today. And remember, of course, it's a long, long way up the mountain, 10.6 kilometers. It's not our biggest climb. That is the Jebel Yes. That will be coming on our epic mountain stage, where we will climb both the Hafeet and the Jebel Yes on one stage. But that is still to come. It will be in the back of the riders' minds as they make the way out from the pens that this will end with the Hafeet. It's a mountain top climb. It's a great race finish, and it's a rehearsal as well for the finish of that mountain stage. But an easier run today, if that today could be called easy for them on the way in. So category 1 approaching 1 kilometer covered. Category 4 leaders, well, they are currently at 34 kilometers on the race route. So here we are in with Alex Heaney on the left-hand side of your screen. Heaney riding well throughout the competition so far for the Hexagon 1 squad. He is currently nicely tucked in there. You can see his numbers in gray, sitting in the rough, trying not to get his nose to the wind. Our rider's now about to hit that climb. Meanwhile, this is category 4 going through the next of our sprints. This is a 34K. And making the way, up onto the climb. So making the way up on to the KOM. So this is the first KOM for the day. This is 34.5K to 40.5. This is a long way, and it's not in the slightest straightforward. And by that, you can see on the course profile, top right-hand side, that white line, it doesn't resemble anything smooth. It's actually a 2-point climb. So we have the higher hill of the 2 first, we have the slightly lower hill of the 2 second, and we finish on the top of the 3rd peak on the way through. So this is 3 peaks across 5 kilometers basically that will give us the first of our positions and first points allocation of the day. Quadrelli, no surprises there, on the attack again. Well, let's see if he can stay with this group. He did a lot of work early on. So on to the climb, and you can see Quadrelli tucked in category 4. Category 3, they are at 24.5 kilometers, but just on to this climb, you can see already Michael Vink stretching his legs nice and early today. They did a lot of chasing on the UAE clan team yesterday. They did a lot of work, and it may well be that they're going to go send Vink down the road early as a yellow jersey and see what everybody does. Let's see how everybody's legs are. No point in guessing. Let's get a response. Let's see who's going to chase. And if they don't, well, Michael Vink could well ride that 70K on his own. This would be a remarkable feat. So let's keep a reminder to ourselves that there was less than 2K covered when he went off the front of the group. At the moment, he's clear. Just in case, I can't imagine it's going to happen, but just in case Michael Vink goes all the way to the finish, that would be some feat of riding today. Well, that gap's opened up. It's at 4 seconds at the moment. This is going to have to elicit a response. Somebody surely behind is going to go after him. The UAE clan team are going to be watching the responses here because this is going to be critical. Who is doing the work behind? Who is looking to take the gap down? They've put Vink up the road. Really smart move here because Michael Vink going up the road should elicit a response. Somebody should be chasing him and chasing him straight away. And they're all looking at each other. They're all over the road here. Nobody is picking up the pace. Now, this is an absolute genius move from the team here if it pays off, because Vink is going down the road. He's not at his maximum at the moment, but because of where it is and because this is an uphill start, he's able to use that power and that power to weight ratio, and no response is coming. There's nothing happening behind. This is going to be really interesting. Now, we're going to jump back and see them in a moment. Let's just take a quick check here on Category 2 on the right-hand side of our screen simultaneously as we have Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. Because as we look across on Category 2, they are on the descent and heading down in. So they've gone over the first part of the climb, the drop down, and then they're going to have this step raise up to the crossroads section on the course. And this is really tough. They've got a big group all together. Category 1, Michael Vink is clear. That gap is continuing to increase. So currently out at 12 seconds at the moment. 12 seconds for Vink, and at the moment he's really putting it in a big effort on the front to go clear, but not at his maximum. And in contrast, these riders now down the descent now. And this is one of the key sections. This is the part where I've certainly got on my notes, I've got exclamation marks flagging it up all over the place because this is the run in. So we've come down through off the climb. We're going to drop down. We're going to go in and through. Here, you can just see we're going to go over this sprint. You go down through the start of the sprint. They're going to pick up the pace here. So it's 16 kilometers. This is the Sharjah sprint. We go in and down through. We're going to come in underneath the banner for the finish. And you know what? I don't think hardly anybody was contesting that. So much is at stake. And now Oliver Simmons, Didac Pacheco coming through. And you can see 3 riders contested that. Top 3 riders, 12.6 watts per kilo, 10.2 watts per kilo, 12.3 watts per kilo, 900 watts, 600 watts, 800 watts. And then there's the rest. And that is because you can see who wanted that the most. And in fact, that really, for me, says a lot about the racing at the moment, that over the top of the climb and into the descent, these guys are having a bit more of a think about what they're going to do. But remember, that is live and that could change. Now, back with Category 1. What's happening behind? We're seeing a pickup. We're seeing the chasing riders now sitting at 4 watts per kilo behind Michael Vink, but Vink is sitting at 5.6 watts per kilo. He's approaching 5 kilometers at the moment, and this group are still all over the road. They've picked up the pace. Don't think by any means this is easy. They've picked the pace up, but they are still not going faster or going at a higher or harder tempo than the race leader. And that is Michael Vink. He is up on the front. And if you want to set your stall out, look, guys, it's mine and you're going to have to come and take it from me. That is certainly what is happening at the moment. So, Category 1, really intriguing. who's going to pick up the pace, who's going to go on the chase. The Clan team, they should be sat on their hands at the moment, going absolutely nowhere, looking at the front, but not letting anyone go with every move. Right hand side of your screen, category 4 at 37.6k. So they are now well on the way through. Remember, this is about climbing 3 hills to make the 4th category mountain. So they're the first points in the mountain category. Now, the first real climb of the day is done for this set of riders in category 1. They are approaching sprint number 1. This is our bridge sprint. At the moment, going down through the sprint is Michael Vink. I'm not sure he's going at a pace that will take him through the sprint in the sprint lead. It will if the rest of the group don't react. I can't imagine that Ross Fawcett is not going to go for this to maximise his points. So underneath goes Michael Vink. He's going to set the time to beat, but KN doing 10 watts per kilo should be closing down and going to set himself a fast time. SS has come at speed, and Ross Fawcett came through there with 12 watts per kilo. Was it enough from Fawcett to take away the sprint points? Let's have a look. It is, and look how close that is. 1,027 watts from Fawcett, 1,023 watts from Hoyos. Fawcett putting out more watts, less watts per kilo, but coming through and taking the 5 points. Hoyos taking 4 with a fractionally slower time there. Then it's Kane, then Panizza, then Van den Eekhout taking 4, 3, 2, and 1 points behind Fawcett's 5. Really interesting result there. And remember, of course, that Michael Vink was closed down by the speed of the chaser. Now, cutting across to category 4, this is the mountain climb run. So we are currently at 38k. This is the flat before. So we have 2 climbs to kick off this mountain segment. We go up the first one, which is higher. We went down that. We climbed up the second. We dropped down. We're now on the run across the lake. This is absolutely pancake flat. The segment finishes when we get to the top of the next ascent section. On your screen's top right-hand side, look at the sat-nav. There's a white line. We are making our way across the bridge over the lake. That's the flat section. We will then go on to the right-hand bumper that is coming through. That rise, that hill that is in front, that will be the end of the mountain section. That is the end. So that mountain section, category 4, not because it's one big climb, but because it's 4 climbs on the way through. Really interesting section to see what the riders do, and maybe somebody different getting a few points on the way in and through there. So it looks like a category of 4 working well on the way in to the final part of that climb at 38.6. It is 29.8k. So they go through for the category 3 riders. That is Quadrelli. On the top right hand side of your screen, you can see that you've got the category 2 riders going in and through, but we're back with Michael Vink, who is leading out this race, currently sitting 12 seconds clear, and now we're seeing a little bit more of a response. Remember, when Vink went clear, first of all, the response was non-existent. It was 1, 2 watts per kilo, 3 watts per kilo. Then we saw a ramp up to 4 watts per kilo. Now we are seeing people taking turns on the front at 6 watts per kilo. So the riders have made themselves very, very clear to the UAE clan team. Nobody responded straight away to Michael Vink's attack at kilometre 2 of 70. We are at kilometre 8 of 70. Michael Vink is still clear, and we are still not seeing the watts per kilo from these riders coming up to answer that of Michael Vink, and that is why he's staying in front. It was narrowed down on sprint number 1 as they came in through that sprint by the speed of the sprint, with Fawcett taking that sprint, the first of our sprints, from Hoyos, fractions separating them. But now we're starting to see a response from the riders who are chasing. But the UAE clan team have gone with a very bold tactic, trying to see who was going to chase, and now it's meant that Vink has sat on his own. He won't do too much, I think, to damage his legs before he comes into that final climb, but he's got a long, long way to go. So here in the studios, we're keeping our eyes on 4 categories. We're riding in with Zach Nair here, making his way up through. Nair in and riding for the Italian Gelato squad. He's on the big screen at the moment. And so he moves up to the top. We're taking a look at category 2. Hassan Sultan in there for the riders in category 3. You can see they're well on the way up, as are category 4. Well on this course, 40k nearly covered for category 4, and category 4 approaching the end of the first mountain section. And that first mountain section made up of 3 climbs, with the lake between climb 2 and 3 of that section. Now, in with Michael Vink. The gap has come down. It's down to 4 seconds, and that is due to the work of the riders behind, who are chasing and working and doing enough. Vink at 5.5 watts per kilo has got the chase impact behind, and the chase impact making the most of that draft to bring him back. But we know that Michael Vink will have measured his effort carefully. It was a long, long way to ask to go clear. He's still got a few seconds in the lead, but they are going to bring him back, and it's going to be Zach Nair who's leading this chase to bring him back. Nair can see Vink. He can see this quarry. He's at 7 watts per kilo, and what he would dearly love would, of course, be to bring 2 or 3 riders across and then get a breakaway going. We are at 10 out of 70 kilometres covered. Michael Vink has been brought back after being clear for 8 kilometres on his own. They tried to see who was going to respond, and now you're seeing another counter-attack here as Mr. X100 goes off the front. So this time it's Mr. X100 who has gone off the front at 8.5 watts per kilo, and this is the next move by the UAE clan team. They've decided today the best form of defense, it's offensive. Here he goes, he's making his way up and over the top. What a move as he makes his way here up and through. This descent section here is a really deceptive section. So here we go, riders in the pack. You can just see the SS in that group on the way down, looking good, making the way down into towards this roundabout. We're going to be heading along a flatter section. So Mr. X100 clear on the front at the moment. Let's see if he can stay clear. He's continuing to push, 3 seconds clear at the moment. So here we are, look at this, this move by Mr. X100 really is pulling out the responses here. They may have been prepared to let Vink have a little bit of room down the road. They've not done that for Mr. X100 in that Masters jersey on the front. And Zanaska, Kaminsky, all up and paying attention. Dan and Gray's theme in there. Knudsen helping a little bit further back, but at the moment we have a breakaway starting to go clear here. Zanaska, Vink, Mr. X100 and Kaminsky on the front of the race as they make their way in and through this long drag out here. Will take them into the tunnels. This, a climb the riders know well. This is our tunnel climb. We talked about it previously on the show today. And that's your Category 1 riders on the left of your screen, right-hand side. Well, the action unfolding in that Category 2 race. So with that gap starting to be clawed back down from our leaders, looks like Emma has chosen the right time to join us in the studio. So in the studio with me here today is Emma Martin, who has made her way in here from the women's race, where I left the action. Absolutely didn't want to do it.
Oh, you didn't want to leave the action?
I definitely didn't want to leave the action. It was absolutely frantic. It was manic. Another good day at the office?
Oh, the women's race was again superb, and some real different techniques and tactics across the 4 different race categories today, giving us very different GC standings. I think we're going to see coming into stage 5 after our rest day.
And a mountaintop finish for the women on the yellow half feet. We've got a mountaintop finish for the men as well. And we've got a very big team game being played in Category 1 at the moment, with the riders on the way up here. We're seeing attack after attack from the UAE clan team in Category 1. But we've also seen a lot of work being done in the other categories. The quadrellis, I mean, if there were 4 of them, it'd be perfect, because we can see them in every category. They're well and truly a quad of quadrellis. However, we have got the duo working really, really hard. Ross Fawcett is clearly reveling in the amount of birthday cake. I think he's on sugar overload as he goes through. Interestingly, also maybe on a sugar overload, but I think it's a caffeine overload in Category 2. The Cafe de Colombia squad. Here's some names that you're going to sound familiar. Moreno, Caligula, and Maglio have all been on the attacking Category 2 for the Cafe de Colombia squad, and they did that pretty much from the word go as well. They took it out on the rise out from the start line. And whether they're going to pay for that later, we will see. Categories 3 and 4, well, the quadrellis have been ripping it up, but very, very attentive racing on the way through. Tysalius and Staples, Phillips, all looking good in Category 3. Category 4, well, at the moment, for me, I think Michael Suarez is probably the rider to watch, but Christiana Kennett has been looking brilliant, as we know, and I think on the final climb it's going to be really impressive. Now, back to Category 1. Straight across from right to left on our start sheets in front of us here, and it is SS. So once again, the UAE clan team firing someone down the road, and this is becoming a regular feature, isn't it, Emma?
Well, it was yesterday, wasn't it, Matt? So interesting to see that they are utilising the same tactic today, and obviously it is working for them. So why break something? Well, why stop something that's working?
It is indeed. Now, these are our Category 4 riders. Remember, this is that really interesting climb segment with 3 peaks, high peak on number 1 and number 3, and a rise in the middle, and the lake. Dromard taking the fastest time through there from Quadrelli, and then Cavajal as well. Then it is Carlos Spin Hernandez taking 4th spot in there. Really interesting to see that go on the way through there. So here we are, our leaders in Category 1 is SS. In Category 2, you can see our leading bunch are clear. Big group in Category 3. And at the moment, Dromard absolutely flying on Category 4, but not in with our leaders. So on the chase, and that chase is giving him the fastest time coming through the climb. Really great racing on all 4 categories here on the MyWhoosh Championships for 2023. You can see all 4 groups on your screen at the moment as they make their way through. And Category 1 on the climb up through the tunnels. It very quickly will come out from the tunnel, out into the upper lake with the waterfall on the rider's left. They will then drop down to where Category 2 are at the moment on the climb back out. So they're making their way up over the top at the moment. SS leading out, and this is where we expect to see a little bit of a stretch here. Van Diemen chasing hard here, so Pim Van Diemen, the rider who is opening his legs up a little here, is just stretching out as go past the waterfall This is the rundown. Look at the group, though, mobbing over the top here, Emma. And they are going to have the pace, aren't they? SS is in the front solo, but this drop, this descent, it drops, and then there's a little rise halfway down, and then it drops again, and then we've got the climb, and that has been the climb to the crossroads in Arabia. It's becoming a bit of a landmark here in the studio for us, even if the riders probably see it go by in a blur of oxygen there.
Absolutely, and you can see them all coming through here. So SS at the moment, 6 seconds, fluctuating between 6 and 8 seconds. Look at that, down to 6. I just saw a flick of a 5. So the pack now coming really, really fast.
And you can see the difference in watts per kilo. He's having to work solo against that draft. The group behind, they can take it in turns. It's just quicker in a group. It's always good to have your friends around you. No matter what you're doing, I tell you what, I'm not sure they're all friends in that group.
I was going to say that might be the wrong term.
No, they've still got teammates in there. They count as friends. And I'm sure off the bike, all these guys will be reminiscing after this. I have ridden the very first MyWhoosh Championship 7-stage race. And they're going to get to the end of it, and they are going to look back on it one way or another. They're going to go, my legs hurt. There's no doubt about that. Even if you're Michael Vick, there's no way you're going to come out of this and not know you've been in a serious bike race.
Yeah, so 8 days, 7 stages. We are stage 4 today of the MyWhoosh Championships. We are coming into a rest day tomorrow, and we have 70 kilometres today, 1,320 metres of elevation. And that stage, Matt, after the rest day is a big one. But we've got to get through today, and they've got to get through today. And SS is continuing to push on here in this Category 1 race. It's a 5-second gap now. Thiem is leading the group behind, with Graves, Dahn, Vink are all in there. But it's SS continuing to push, and pushing at the moment, just going under the second sprint banner of the day.
He is indeed. I can't imagine he's going to have the fastest time by any stretch of the imagination, though, because the speed of the group behind should see them coming through quicker. Here we go. The rush is on. You can see that the jersey, the green there of Ross Fossa in the mix. Safrazad winding it up as well. Hoyos was in. There's a NASCAR theme done as well. But I think that is going to come down to the power of Fawcett. Let's see if he can do it again. He can't. Oh, look at that. He's going to take 4 points this time. So this time around, really interesting to see. Last time around, we were talking 1,100 watts on the sprint. That's how much effort there was. It was 1,126 and 1,106, I think it was, between the two riders. This time around, Safrazad taking top spot from Fawcett, from Hoyos, then Zanaska, and then Mr. X100, again scoring points. So not just row captain, not just Masters leader, not just attacker, but he's also scoring on the sprints as well.
Yeah, but we've talked about it before, Matt, that technique is just as important, and how you race and ride a sprint on MyWhoosh is absolutely key to winning the sprint and getting the fastest time. It is not just about absolute power and who puts the highest amount of power in over that 300 metres. We saw riders yesterday very clearly giving us absolute demonstration of technique, laying off the back of the group, putting the effort in slightly before the first sprint banner, coming onto the back of the group and utilising the draft all the way through the group to go over the top and out the other side, giving you the benefit of the draft and the pace that gives you to the enhanced speed.
Yeah, very much so. And I think SS is going to feel the after effects of that as well, because you can just see top left-hand side of your screen, the group closing down. That draft effect really does take its toll. And you can be an absolute superstar, but you are one man against many, and you're really going to be paying for that. Lots of great action at the moment on the way through in Category 1. In Category 3 and 4, you can just see the riders are absolutely hurtling along at the moment. In Category 4, they are at 46.99, and making the catch is Dromard here. So Dromard has come across. He's joined Hernandez. He's joined Quadrelli. He's joined Suarez. Up at the front, man who's missed out here, going to be Ken Up. Really interesting. Very interesting to see. They are on the way. Now, they are at 47.2. Their next key point of point scoring is going to come at 55k.
It is indeed, which is the final sprint of the day. So the sprint competition finishing today at 55 kilometres, where that final sprint takes place.
It does indeed. Now, Category 3, they are on the way down from the second of the 3 hills that make up the Category 4 climbing section. So at the moment, you can see we're in with Paul Garin. At the moment, they are trying to keep that pace high on the way through. Remember that this is a really different climbing segment than you see on pretty much any of the other parts of the stages across all of the 7 days, because this is 3 hills that make up the Category 4 segment on the way through. Now, that is in Category 3. Just watching Category 2 at the moment, and really interesting to see riders starting to be distanced back through the group. The lead of Category 2 is with Maglio Caligula in there, Spratt in there, Duque Mayer in there as well. Looks like that group has got Parisi and Ice in there. Duque's made the junction as well. So the big hot favourites from Category 2 all in there together. Remember, Maglio, as we came in, was in first place. Riz was in second place in the overall. Third was Howeiler, and then Mayer in fifth, with Duque in fourth place. But I think, for me, what's really key here is that they've managed to break this up, coming in at 30k. And this is often a portent of what will happen in Category 1. The closer we get from 4 to 1, more often than not, you see the same sort of tactics being played out. And if it's broken the group in Category 2, it will very often help break the group in Category 1. So 31.8k covered. They've been through sprint number 3. They're heading in to sprint number 4. That comes at 33 kilometres. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships, in with Henry Ace making his way up here. Carsten Mayer, the man who was chasing down the Cafe de Colombia, series of attacks. And he mixes right in there, but going to be very interesting to see what they can do. Nicholas Spratt had a good day yesterday, didn't he, Emma?
Absolutely. Spratt did have a good day yesterday, and it is great to see different riders coming to the fore. So Spratt doing really well in that mountains competition.
So let's see who will take this out as we come into the finish. You can see riders being distanced further backwards. Regulars like Ryan Giuliano starting to be distanced. German Lamondo getting distance as well. Mr. G sitting in the main pack here. And certainly for me, really interesting to watch what is happening with the riders and where those time gaps are. The chasing pack currently at 37 seconds on the leaders. That's on the right-hand side of your screen. The left-hand side of your screen, well, it looks like Michael Knudsen now stretching his legs out. Yet again, no prizes for guessing that Michael Knudsen is one of the UAE clan team. This time round, Alex Heaney, who was looking good for the Hexagon 1 team in the early stage of the early part of this stage, is with him as well. And this is on the little rise here. It's 4% as they come up over the top. But Knudsen this time winding it up and stretching it out.
Well, Knudsen was winding it up and stretching it out, but he's about to let Heaney go for it. So Heaney coming through as Knudsen kicks again. Heaney having to respond to that to stay on his wheel. Interesting to see whether those two can stay clear or whether the pack bring them back. On that right-hand side of your screen, Matt, it is indeed that third sprint, fourth sprint that the Category 2 riders are now going through. So as Category 2 go through sprint number 4, there's an attack in Category 1. Here we're in with Category 3 coming up for the 40-kilometre mark. So as they come up for the 40-kilometre mark, they are on this climb section at the moment, and this lead group are all pushing on together.
So here we go, Category number 3, having completed the Talmarib sprint. The sprint win going to Gomez, Valencia, Taisalius in second, Massini in third, Bulgarian in fourth, Gasulin in fifth there. Really interesting. Taisalius, who was really on form taking that green jersey yesterday, really looking to defend that today and pick up points on the way through. Very, very experienced. And if you want to see the setup of a rider when they're out and racing. Don't forget, you can catch up. There's a great video of Carl say this on the YouTube channel. And Jeff went round to go visit Carl and watch him whilst he was racing a Sunday race club. And it clearly inspired him because he actually had a great day at the office. Maybe we should do that more often. If maybe you could hire Jeff out as somebody to cheer you on to get even bigger results. But he was really quiet cheering him because you couldn't hear him. So let's see how he gets on today. Carl, not Jeff, of course. So we make our way up on and around this turn. Our leaders still in front. You can just see the two diminutive dots at the very front of this leading set of riders. They are the two riders just clear of the chasing pack at the back here. You can see that all of these riders are just keeping out of the draft, just trying to stay out of the wind and save their energy for us when they need it. You've got to really optimize when you use the power, when you use your resources, because we're on day 4. Rest day coming up. There's a big mountain before we get to that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is indeed what our jersey wearers are doing and showing you how to do in that category 1 pack. Those jersey wearers just hanging around the back and utilising the draft, whereas in category 3, that is the line. That is the King of the Mountain. Oh, King of the Mountains line. Yeah, just come from the women's race, apologies, but we are on the men's race now, and that was indeed the King of the Mountains banner.
It wasn't a big old kick there coming through there now. Remember, this is live at the moment as they come through. Phillips taking the fastest time at the moment from Carcajal, then it's Hedina, then Quadrelli, then Gasolin coming through. They're your 5-point scorers at the moment, but you can still see there are riders coming through. Every time that yellow spin comes in, you can see it circling around. That indicates we've got riders coming through, updating on the way through. So you can see these riders continuing to push away. Phillips, Carcajal, Hedina, Quadrelli, Gonsolin, scoring points on the mountains competition.
Yeah, so indeed in that category 3 race, it is that mountain competition. But next up for those riders, Matt, is going to be sprint number 5 at 55 kilometres.
Indeed, it is. So a 55k, the next sprint, a bit of a run across from 40.5 to the 55 marker. It does give them about 15k where they could recover, where they could ride and actually get some recovery done. Whether or not that happens, I think is going to depend on the conditions within the group. I'll tell you one category you can't imagine are going to do. That's category 1 at the moment. They may be the cynical, fast, experienced riders who maybe you would expect to take it easy, but there's none of that going on. We are on a downhill section of a very rolling part of the terrain here. We're at 23 kilometres, 23.98 now, 24k. We are 4k out from the next sprint, and yet we are seeing yet again another stretch, another pull, another attack, another comeback. It has been frantic from kilometre 0 on stage 1 in category 1. They have been on it. Can you think of a time when category 1 in its entirety, every single rider sat up and just went, do you know what, let's just take it easy? I can't actually think of
Not in
anywhere.
The men's race, no.
No.
But, you know, this men's field, Matt, are really trying to sort themselves out because it is absolutely stacked with world-class esports riders.
Yeah.
You know, these men on this MyWhoosh Championships, absolutely, it is a who's who. And the level of competition in here is just showing us that, absolutely, day after day after day.
We are now just taking a look at category 4, bottom right-hand side of your screen. Category 4 just closing in on what is going to be, I suspect, a lone leader there, just coming up and through. Categories 2 and 1 are a little bit further back down the course, separated by about 11 kilometres on the road. At the moment, you can see that category 2 are now into that mountain section. Here we go, category 4 is taking a little look here. Now, it looks to me like this is going to be a sole chaser that's being closed down. It is Bouthayab who's going to be caught here. So Thayab is going to get caught, I think, by Mayad here. These are the riders behind that top 5. And look at the time gap, Emma. We've got nearly 2 minutes separated. No wonder these riders are trying to push on now, because they won't want to lose too much time. But that attack, the 5 riders who are clear, they were clear, and the chase behind trying to close it back down.
Well, particularly if you know you're a strong climber, Matt, and that you've been waiting for that final climb that comes at 59.3 kilometres into this race. That 2 minute nearly gap already before they even get to the bottom of the climb is going to just exacerbate and give too much work to do to close that 2 minutes down, as well as then push on that climb.
Indeed, and I think that is probably what is happening there. It's not something that's going to happen in Category 1. We could record a little clip, and we could just press play every time. It's the UAE clan team. They sent a rider down the road to try and make the racing hard for everyone else.
Well, they are indeed making their they're riding hard for everybody else. And if your legs are hurting in that group at the moment, I can absolutely guarantee everybody else's are as well, because the pace just keeps coming and the attacks just keep coming. SS is the rider down the road at the moment, and I'm wondering where the chase is going to come from. And it's Van Domen who is the one doing the chasing. Knudsen's gone into 2 with Cutler and Hoyce and Van Haren. Walter is in there as well as Van den Eckhout and Panizza. These riders do not want this breakaway to go, but they also know that the UAE clan team are just handing it to them at the moment and deliberately trying to encourage them to ride faster than they want.
Indeed. Now another bridge across. This is coming from Michael Vink now. So they sent SS down the road. He has gone down the road on the attack. It looks like Vink has seen that nobody's gone across the gap. Nobody's been able to close down. Vink is going to come across and join SS. And we do see this sometimes. They will fire riders up the road. A team will go, get down the road, send somebody who's not in the overall, but then they'll fire their GC contender down to them, and the two will work together. And, I mean, can you imagine going down the road knowing that you've got SS down there to work with you? I mean, that is just like dream scenario, because look at him come here. SS out the saddle and with a blue cap, blue overshoes on there. He's sprinting up onto the wheel of Michael Vink. You don't say that very often. And going up along the side, it's very rare people even get to Michael Vink's heels.
I think you're going to see a response from the peloton now, because I don't think, whereas they might have let SS go off down the road, not a contender on GC at the moment, I think they'd have let him go. They'd have let him go, but not Vink. They will not let Vink go.
But at the start of this race, start of the stage today, they gave him 10, 15, 20 seconds, and they took their time. And I think what's going to happen, what I think the team are hoping for maybe here from the UAE clan team, is that everybody else looks at each other. They look at each other. It's that, you chasing? No. You? No. And there's a bit of brinkmanship almost going on in there, because nobody wants to take up the chase. Nobody wants to pull back. I mean, this is innocuous course. We're not on a sprint. We're on a basically flat section. There's not a lot happening. There's, it's not like you're going to win prize money or points at the moment by going for it. But they've gone for it on the front. And look at this. That gap is opening out. Right. It is not being pulled back, and these teams here are still looking. We're just starting to see it stretch. We're just starting to see the pull come on here, and now they're starting to wind up. The numbers are starting to raise, and for me, that delay could be fatal for everybody who isn't a UAE clan team.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? 2 riders away, 24 riders chasing. That is the mix we've got at the moment on this Category 1 race. So it's a large chasing group with a mix of many different riders from many different teams with very different skill sets, because we've got our Masters leader jersey in here, our sprint jersey, our climbing jersey. So it is really, really interesting to see what is happening at the moment. So it's looking like, Matt, no real chase is coming at the moment. They're keeping the pace high. I mean, the pace is around 40, 45 kph. So they're keeping the pace high, but there is no significant chase.
I would agree, 100%. Makes a change for us not to have a conflict of opinion on the tactics bit in blue, but I think at the moment you've got to say the chase is not coming. There is a certain amount of room, isn't there? You can let riders go, and that depends on how many. If, like you say, I mean, big numbers in that chasing group. It is a peloton basically versus 2, so you should know that you can pull back maybe 20-30 seconds with that kind of groups. When we look at the right hand side of the screens, we have got 5 riders clear on the front of the Category 4 race. And then we've got a gap. And that gap is massive. I mean, massive.
Well, they are very close now too, aren't they? That final sprint of the day, that sprint number 5 coming at 55 kilometres into this 70-kilometre course. So that Category 4 going through that final sprint. Category 1, they too are at the sprint section, but this is sprint section number 3.
It is indeed, and you can see Mr. X100 is coming in from the back of that group, pushing the numbers.
So is Safrazad, 13.5 watts per kilo coming out of Safrazad there. Van Horen picking up too, but Safrazad is going through that pack. Oh, Fawcett has got a convincing competition here.
Well, let's see who's going to take it. Juan Hoyos takes it that time, or has he? Let's take a look and get the right one. We're rattling through the sprints at the moment. It is Said Safrazad. You were dead right there, Emma. The power coming down. Safrazad, Hoyos, Fawcett. Then it was Graves, Heaney, and Van den Eek out. And it looks like Phil Graves has stirred his stumps and decided that he's going to get a wriggle on and go have a little bit of a dig there, because he's definitely been putting some power down there, scoring 2 points in the competition. But you saw Safrazad come from the very back of the group, come charging through there. And he might not have had the biggest power, he might not have had the highest watts per kilo, but he got the timing superb.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely spot on technique from Syed Safrazad. Juan Hoyos in 2, Ross Fawcett in 3, Phil Graves in 4, Alex Heaney in 5, rounding out those points in sprint number 3.
Great result there by the riders for Safrazad, for the Sticky Bun Club. And with Fawcett in there, it's not the end of the world, is it, if you lose your points to your teammate, unless you are up against somebody else on another team who is very close indeed. Right, let's get back to the racing. You can see right-hand side of that screen. I think we've seen Suarez on the push. This is our Category 1, though, that we're on the left-hand side. We're in with Mr. X100 sat at the back of this group as we come across the lakeside. We're going to have a little bit of a kick up as we come out from the lakeside, from the shoreline. Up in front, SS and Michael Vink, 15 seconds. And now I think we're going to see a little bit of a kick by the riders behind. The rise, I think, will instigate a little bit of a raise of pace from the chasing group behind. Let's call it a chasing group. I'm not sure that is a misnomer.
I tell you, I think chasing group is a misnomer, because SS and Vink are sat around 5.5, 6 watts per kilo, and the group behind are not doing anywhere near that. You know, Van Diemen on the front has now come to the fore, now putting out 6 watts per kilo as they go into this climb. We might see a bit of a stretch here, and we might see this bring them back together, but I'm not sure. SS and Vink are going to work very, very well together, and that distance is going out. It's not coming back at the moment.
It is the lift here by Vujasin to 5.86 watts per kilo is only matching that of the race behind. But will they continue onwards? They've had to put the pressure on the pedals. They've had to dig deeper because of the climb. When we come over the top of the climb, will they just keep that effort going and keep on kicking on? They have the advantage of sitting in, but the draft effect is lessened with 26 kilometers an hour, so 15 miles an hour or so. This is relatively low speeds compared to doing the downhill or the flat section, where you have that massive advantage of the draft. And you can see it's a big ball. There's not one long lined out line. This really is interesting. Now, are they going to let Michael Vink have a lift to the start of the climb before he goes? He's almost, taxi for one,
it's a long lift. It's a long taxi.
It is indeed. So let's have a little bit of a run back through our screens. So Suarez at the moment with the leaders right-hand side of your screen, approaching 58 kilometers of racing done. The bottom left-hand side, 48 kilometres done for Category 3. And this puts them very firmly on that middle ground between the climb on the Category 4 climb, the first of our big climbs, and the main climb. So very much firmly in that almost sort of dead ground in the middle, where you don't have anything necessarily that you should race for, but that doesn't stop people racing. So the riders on the way through. Emma, you're getting treated to what I saw earlier as well here, because we have Filippo and Enrico Quadrelli up in the leading groups in both races. And the Italian duo, I might have made a coffee reference or two on the way through.
But interesting to see the fact that they are indeed in two different categories, yet putting in outstanding performances in both and really making the action today, which is fantastic to see. And hopefully taking a little bit of encouragement for each other's performances if they are actually listening to the feed at the same time as racing.
Well, they should be. If they're listening to the feed as well, as I'm sure you are, if you're watching, we do love to hear what you're up to, where you are, what you're doing, as we see Enrico pushing on to get up to the front here. He's not letting anything move in that category 4 race without being involved. Neither is Filippo Quadrelli on the left-hand side of your screen. Please do get in touch. Remember, tag us into your pictures, to your social media feed. It's at Biking Emma, it's at Matt Fixer Pain, and at MyWhoosh. We really want to see those pictures.
Absolutely. And Carvajal is the rider now pushing on in this category 4 race. They will very shortly be seeing the bottom of the climb, Matt. It is not that far away, just 300 meters until they go through the base of the climb and start the ascent to the checkered flag at the top.
So here we go. We're heading for the Jebel Hafid. We've come through what is Al Ain, the UNESCO heritage site, down at the base of the climb. You can see the banner that signifies the start. And I think we are seeing Quadrelli and Suarez sitting off the group at the back to give themselves a little bit of margin on the way up. They're doing what's known as a Safrazad. You need to have watched yesterday to know what the reference is.
Check out yesterday's race in the men's race to see what doing a Safrazad means.
And there you go. Right, back to the action. We've got both our Category 4 and Category 1 on your screens. We're diving in with Category 1 because they are at 33 kilometres at the moment. They are on sprint number 4, and on the way through you can start to see it get wound up, really becoming a real match sprint for some here in the way they are riding this, taking advantage of the group to get the pace. But you can see once again Saeed Safrazad has charged from the back to the front in the polka dot skin suit of a mountain leader. How long before he takes those sprint points and takes them away? He's absolutely flying at the moment. Let's look at the results. Has he taken top spot? Well, we are going to be able to tell you. It looks to me like that's showing a force. I think that needs a refresh. Here we go. That's the refresh. That's the first one done. And away we go. Safrazad not taking top spot. It's Fawcett this time. I tell you what, that sticky bum club, they're going to be throwing them at each other. They're going to be hoping one does stick, because at the moment, it's a real battle, and Juan Hoyos is still in this mix from the Hexagon 1 squad, fighting it out in that fight. It's incredibly competitive with 3 clear contenders in the battle.
But Fawcett taking top spot there, an average watts per kilo of 11.3 going through that, ensuring him 5 points on sprint number 4.
Loving it. Absolutely love this battle. It's continuing onwards. Wonder whether Fawcett got a sticky bum for his birthday. There you go. Another birthday reference. If it is your birthday during the course of the tour, please do get in touch. We'd like to wish you a happy birthday. We might not send you a birthday card, but we will wish you a happy birthday over the show, and we won't sing, I promise.
Well, there's a promise for you, but back with the front of this, I'm just carrying on. Back with the front of this Category 4 race. They are now well and truly into this climb, just shy of 60 kilometres. They are coming up for 10k to go, and this is a battle royale going on here. This Category 4 race pushing on. Carvajal at the moment really continuing to put the power down through those pedals, because Suarez and Quadrelli are the 2 riders on the heels. And we are joined as well by Ospina. So 4 riders here, all within 2 seconds of each other in this Category 4 race. 10 kilometres left to go.
So category 4 on the steep start. They've gone over that. They've leveled out. It will kick again. You can see the city in the distance as they start to climb up, gain height, and move away from Al Ain. Head up towards the upper slopes so the will have feet. And you can see we are on 5 riders here. You've got Dromard, you've got Carvajal, you've got Quadrado, you've got Suarez, and you've got Ospina Hernandez. They are your 5 riders. Up on the front, it is Carvajal who is kicking here on that red Colnago. But another big boost there from Enrico Quadrelli. I'll tell you something, the Quadrelli brothers, they won this. I want to know if they're father and son or brothers or cousins. We will find out. You never know, we might get you the answer before we get to the end of the 7 stages and 8 days. But my goodness, all 5 of these riders, they are on a mission. They have best part of 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 30 to get up here in front of the rest of the riders because they have got a 2:30 gap. Now, left-hand side of your screen as the riders on the right continue upwards, you can see that we are now into the first of the mountain segments. This is the rise up to peak number 1. 3 hills make up the category 4. Its official name is the Talmarib Hills. It is 3 hills that make up the Talmarib Hills, and those 3 make the segment of Vink and SS with a gap on the road. Will that put them in good stead as they go through this segment? Because, of course, the speed will disappear off as they go up the hill. Vujasin now pushing at 7.5 watts per kilo with a little bit of a gap, 2 seconds back to Van Elst. It is starting to open up today, and I think eventually it's going to snap, and that is just accumulation of all of the racing to date.
Well, interesting, isn't it, to see SS and Vink still with around 12 or 13 seconds. So once they've established that gap, they've not pushed on, or the pack have held them at that level. So Vink here on SS's wheel 1 and 2. Safrazad now coming to the front to help out Vujasin and Van Elst. Van Diemen almost in there as well, and Thiem X100 just watching what the front of that group are doing because Cutler is coming through as well. So Safrazad pushes on here, you know, wanting, I think, to continue to pick up those mountain points, Matt, with Vujasin, I think, now wanting to close that gap down a little. You know, Vujasin having a great ride and doing really well in that mountains competition.
Yeah, I think coming in today, don't quote me on this because it's only my memory. I think second place on the way through to the start of the stage today. So the nearest contender to Safrazad, and that is one of the reasons I suspect they are marking each other out. Michael Knudsen in there as well. He's 3rd in the mountain competition, I think, coming in. So if I'm correct, that is our top 3 riders in the mountains competition are the second group on the road. You've got SS and Vink in the lead. You've got Safrazad, Vujasin and Knudsen. Then another gap back through to Noran Vandenika and the rest of the bunch. But look at the speed that this group is coming.
Well, yeah, and the motivation of taking those points, Matt, in the competition has absolutely closed this gap down. So the work SS and Vink had done is now being taken back as Bart van den Eckhart leads this group. An absolute commitment here from van den Eckhart. Noran coming through and coming through fast. Safrazad in 3. Pinitza is there, Vujasin is there, Knudsen and Van Elst all in the top 7 as Safrazad comes up and pushes over the top of Van den Eckhart. Can he respond? Can Vujasin push on? Noran is coming through as well, and the banner is not far.
Well, we've got a get over the top, the banner for the top of climb at number 2. You can see those blue flags flying over the top. They are just before we get in. You can see the flashing arc over the top of the second hill. This is on its way in here. So this is going to be the second of the 3 hills complete. We drop down and head through, and you can see it may be flashing, but it's matching the colours of Mr. X100, the Masters leader, who is coming up here towards the banner. That's the top of hill number 2. Through they go. This is the top of hill number 2. We're going to drop down and head into towards the lake. You can see the Talmarib sign at the side of the road here, and they are strung out we are going to see a regroup shortly as we now start to see a pickup of pace. Has this group retained the same number of riders? Really interesting. The gap are just opening up behind, and I think that's Said Safrizad and Tim Cutler, who are now in trouble. And I think we are down to potentially 15, 16 riders in this group. We're in with Bart van den Eyck out at the moment. And you can just see the pace at the moment, 73, 76, 75 kilometers an hour. We are hovering just over the 40-mile-an-hour marker on this 10% downhill to the lakeside as we go in and across. And there is a gap behind this group.
There is a gap behind this group, and a couple of riders have dropped off, not just one or two, Matt. You know, taking a look at how many are left in this group, 3, 6, 9, 12. Or I think you might be right. We might be around 15 riders in this group, but we will clarify that.
Yep, the rider's just in one box. Emma grabbing a pen and grabbing the binoculars out to take a check. Now, by my reckoning, I think I saw Said Safrizad off the back of that group, just looking to see if I can see his skin suit back in the front. They are heading off towards the final hill of 3. Meanwhile, the action continues to unfold in category number 4. And you can see they are a little bit further up this hill. We still have 5 riders in contention, so that is continuing onwards. Meanwhile, Mr. X100 is pushing on up into towards this climb. It's currently the flat run in. They've come off the lake. They're now at the lake side, but they will turn up the hillside very shortly and then head towards the finishing line of this climb segment, up at the top of the third of the 3 hills. And Emma, I cannot see a certain Mr. Said Safrizad in that group at the moment.
No, I think it is indeed the rider coming hot off the back, Matt. And whilst X100 is off the front, I think Safrizad is off the back. Whether he can kick and utilise that sprint and pushing on, I think now that juncture has been made and you will find him back in that group. Look, take a look. There he is. Bit of a rest and recovery before another kick. And a kick to come through that group, I think, before they get onto this climb. Now take a look back further back, Matt. We've got a couple more riders further off there. Now, can they indeed utilise this last part of the climb to bring it all back together?
Well, this is the time to do it. As the front of the group goes into the base of the climb, that's when you have the maximum speed, and they have the climb in front of them. And look at the numbers lighting up in red there as the riders feel the gradient bite. We're at 10% climb at the moment. We have our sole leader in that Masters jersey being closed down. The group are going to come onto his heels. They're being led by Vujasin van Elsum Noren at the moment. They are continuing to push here. We've got a big old stretch of a road in front, and it climbs up at the 10% gradient. It will ease and then kick slightly once again on the way up to the summit of the third of these hills. At the moment, everybody is digging deep. You can see that board is lit up as these riders really stretch the group out, and again, we are starting to see riders lose contact at the back of the group.
We are indeed, and those numbers were indeed red, and they were pushing on. They continue to push on as Knudsen now goes up and over teammate X100. Vujasin is 3, Vink is 4, Van Elst is 5, Panitsa 6. It just continues to keep changing because Popovic has come through, so has Van den Eyck. Everybody is scrabbling, Matt, for the top of this climb. They all want a bit of this action.
I'll tell you something, Michael Knudsen, he's setting a ferocious pace. He's at 7.2 watts per kilo. He's sitting consistently over 7 as he continues to push here. This is really impressive stuff for me from Knudsen, because he has gone up and he's opening a gap here. And this means that he could well take away a march here and take away points from Said Safrizad as he go up over the top of the climb. Michael Knudsen, of course, remember, has been doing a lot of work for the team, but he's third in the mountains competition. This is giving him a chance, but Vujasin is not far away. He's the rider who is leading the chase behind. That's the left-hand side of your screen, and this is absolutely frantic because we are at 40.1. This segment finishes in a few hundred meters, and Michael Knudsen has the gap. Now, he has got to keep pushing here. He will want to take away maximum points. Will he be able to keep the point score high? It's looking good. He can see the banner in front. It's the white and polka dot red legs at the side, the bigger red over the center. Pim Van Diemen has now launched his chase behind. Van Diemen is going hard here, but it's going to be Michael Knudsen who goes over the line first. Has he done enough to set the fastest time? Van Diemen comes in and through. Now, Miss X100 leads the bunch through behind with Van Elst, SS, Noren Panitsa and Co. coming through. Saeed Safrazad was in that group. What's the time going to be? Knudsen takes it. He takes it from Mr. X100, then Van Diemen. And look at that, no score this time for Saeed Safrazad. They've put enough damage in. Is this telling, or is this him saving his legs for when we come to that final climb?
Yeah, we are indeed going to come to that final Category 1 climb. They are going to climb the Habitat feat, and we have seen Knudsen actually, who has just taken full points there, ride and climb really strongly on that mountain before.
We have indeed. This is looking really, really light. We are going to have a battle royal up on to the climb, up past the UNESCO heritage sites at the base, right the way up into the rarefied atmosphere at the top of the climb. If you've watched it on the men's or women's UAE tours, you will see just how faithful a replica this is when we go up on to the climb. Our riders in Category 4 are there already. They are well on the way up the climb, approaching the climb of Category 3. Category 2 have a fair distance to go yet. Not as far as Category 1, though. They're on the left-hand side of your screen. And I'll tell you something, there is no rest for the riders in Category 1. They are still knocking chunks out of each other. But we've seen changes in Category 4. Florian Dromard is the rider who chased through. He had a super fast time through our climb segment on the 3 hills of the hills in Sal Marib. He's the rider who is on the front of the climb. 45 seconds, Emma. He's opened up in the second quarter, I think, of this climb.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. And this is a climb to separate the packs, isn't it, in each of our categories. And it's going to be really interesting to see whether there are big time gaps in the categories at the end of today.
I'll put you money. There's some riders who lose enough to be timed with a calendar, never mind a stopwatch. And that is quite simply because you get to the top of this climb. It is a long way. If you've not come down and ridden, if you've not jumped on MyWhoosh and ridden, please, guys, make sure you do. It really does put into perspective just how amazing the performances we're seeing on the screen is here. Having ridden on the platform for a long time, and now I've been out and ridden on the roads, gone up and down the slopes. I've had it handed to me on a plate several times by a lot of the riders you're seeing out here. And you know something? It really shows you what it's like. The climb to the top of the Jebel Hafi, I absolutely love doing it. It is on my bucket list now of things that I am going to do when I'm out on the bike. I've got quite a long bucket list of things on the bike, but that is right up near the top. That is for sure, because it looks astounding. I've watched the videos. I've seen it on. I've ridden it virtually. I only need to do it in real life. That'll be the. That's a ticket list, but I'm not going to go as fast as our riders on your screens at the moment because these guys are absolutely flying. Category 4, you can see Quadrelli trying to chase down Drobard. On the Category 3, guess who? It's Quadrelli, and he is now chasing his way through. They're about to hit the start of the self same climb, so we will have Quadrelli and Quadrelli both on the climb. We've got Enrico currently well up that climb, approaching the 63.6 marker in terms of kilometres, and Filippo sat with the leading group of Category 3 riders at 59.5k.
Yeah, and interesting, isn't it, Matt? Our Category 4 riders now, Dromard and Quinerico, I'll put my teeth back in, Quadrelli, 2 hours and 7 minutes of racing now complete as they continue on that climb, looking at 6.3 kilometres still to go in that Category 4 race. But the Category 2 riders, Matt, the next thing they're going to see is the final sprint of the day at 55k.
We are, and that's going to be our next run into the line here. So let's see how these riders get on the way through. Quadrelli leading on your category 3 on the left-hand side of your screen in category 3. He's got Enrico currently sitting in there, trying to chase up onto Dromard. The front of the race. He has got company at the moment. It is Cavajal who is with Quadrelli, and it looks like they've distanced Suarez, they've distanced Ospina Hernandez as well, and you can see behind the riders those gaps have opened up. There are about 25-30 seconds between the riders. Meanwhile, Quadrelli in category 3 is just ahead of the riders who are chasing at the moment. And you can see that it's Gomez Marin who is in there. You can also see Carahal also working hard. Meanwhile, category 2 are looking incredibly strong as well. That leading the group of riders continue to push, but this is the fastest group on the road. It is the set of chasers, and guess what? They're chasing a rider from the Clam team, but importantly, who are they chasing? They're chasing Michael Vink, who has gone down the road once again. He's solo, he's at 44k, and the really important thing here is this is very, very flat. It is very fast, and if you can time trial, you can go clear here. And I think this is what we are starting to see. We are starting to see him set a pace that he's comfortable with for a long time. And he's saying to everybody else, well, you want this, you're going to have to chase me down.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to take a look and see how many riders are in this group. I'm thinking we have 13 riders in this group now. They are all chasing Vink out front. So Vujasin, Popovic, Nair, SS, Knudsen, X100, Van Diemen. Vujasin is here. I'm trying to get a list of the riders in this group because we have seen riders dropping off the back mat and this group whittling down over the last few kilometres.
And that is because of the pressure that was applied on its way through the Talmarib Hills, plus all of the preceding terrain. And you've got to remember, we've seen it from K2. Kilometre 2, we saw Vink go on the attack. And he did. That wasn't the first attack by the team by any stretch of the imagination. Mr. X100 led them out of the gate like his pants were on fire. Honestly, he went out of there like somebody had put ants in his shoes.
Well,
absolutely blisteringly quick. And it really did say, do you know what? We are the UAE clan team and we are going to give you a tough time today.
Well, I think if Vink's break sticks now, it's going to be a sandwich attack, isn't it? At the front and at the back. It is going to be absolutely classic. It'd have been the first attack of the day and the last attack of the day in this category 1 race as Vink continues to push power down on those pedals. Over 400 watts at the moment, just 220 coming out of SS in that group, which gives a very clear indication of the difference in pace that they are moving at the moment.
And we've got to remember as well, in terms of team competitions, in terms of the overall competition, time is important as well, all the way to the finishing line. It's no good just coming over the line first in that, although there are the stage win prizes as well as the stage mountain and sprint prizes in there. Now, they are on our left in category 1, it's looking at the time, looking at Vink. Category 4, they are also looking at the time, but they're looking at the time to Dromard. Meanwhile, you can see in category 3, we have 2 leaders, Quadrelli and Cavajal. The 2 leaders that are ahead of Arrego at the moment. In category 2, you can see we have a leading group of 5 riders in there. Spratt, Meyer, Maglio and Duque at the moment. They are your leading riders. I think Parisi is in there. Mayer is in that pack as well. It could be really interesting to see how that group gets on. They've been working really hard. They're currently at 56 kilometers. So they are past the final sprint and they're on that run into the mountain. So in terms of sprints that are left, Emma, we only have a sprint for category 1 left. Do you think they're even going to contest it?
Oh, I think there are riders in the Category 1 peloton that may contest it. I'm not sure if any of them are out front or in the leading group. I think they may well be behind in Group 3 or Group 4, because taking a look at that now, Vink has clearly established this lead 28 seconds back to Panizza and Van den Eckhout, who are leading the group behind. But take a look at the pace map. Panizza 3.4 watts per kilo, 2.6, 2.2. Vink's currently sat time trialing at 6 watts per kilo. This group are not chasing. They have accepted what they think is the inevitable, that Michael Vink is going to ride away from them.
Oh, that is a harsh statement coming down. The judgment of Emma has been passed, and she's basing it on the evidence in front of her. She's been presented with the evidence of the numbers, and I tell you something, at the moment, I don't think those numbers are lying, because you can just see that the riders are thinking, we can't let this go any longer. I'm not sure they don't have a marker down that they will let him get 30 seconds at the absolute max, and that is where they hit 30 seconds, and all of a sudden somebody flicked the trip switch. Either that or they realized they just got told off by you.
Well, I think they were listening, because I don't think they actually realized how slow they were going, as Vujassin is the rider who goes, no, this is enough now, and Vujassin is leading the charge at the front of that group.
And it's really easy, isn't it, when you're in that group, to get sucked in to the pace of the group. You concentrate on what the riders are around you. You know that your legs are hurting. You see the riders around you. You think you're going hard enough, and you need a wake-up call, and you look up and you go, uh-oh, hang on a minute. I need to hurt some more, because actually we might all be a group, but we've all eased off. So we're all hurting. We've all eased off, but we've all let go the man that we've got to beat. Well, and it can so easy to get sucked into that when you're riding.
Well, and also, you know, it's not just about finishing first, finishing second and finishing third today. It's about the overall GC. And what they want to do is, even if they can't catch Vink, they need to make that gap as small as possible.
A teeny weeny itsy bitsy gap is what they're looking for, and Michael Vink wants a humongous gap at the end of this. He wants to, I think, go into that rest day going, do you know what? If I don't muck this up, I've won.
Well, it would be an interesting tactic, wouldn't it? Because I tell you what, there would be some very robust team discussions during the rest day as to what tactics they're going to be using, and whether they're adjusting their tactics and changing the focus of their racing.
I would love to be able to tell Emma out to be able to give out those, because Emma, of course, a very experienced director sporting, but she is now on the fully impartial commentary duties for the duration of the stage. Emma, if you were on the stage at the moment and riding, not as DS, but riding, and you are Florian Drummer, because we're going to step away from Category 1. We'll take the pressure off slightly, not a lot. Florian Drummer's on the front here. He's closed down. He's chased the gap down. He's now got in front of him. He knows that he's well up this mountain. He's at 65.5K. He knows he's got about 4.5 kilometers to the finish, but he also knows he's got points at stake. Are you looking at heart rate? Are you looking at power? Are you doing it on feel? What do you think? What do you think Florian's doing at the moment?
Well, different riders will do it on different things, Matt. Me, I work well on heart rate. I always think that is the effort you are putting in, and at the moment it's about managing that effort and not going into the red for Dromard, because he'll want to get as much time as possible on the chasers, but he'll also not want to push himself into the red, because he really does not want to blow. So he will be absolutely managing that to a micro level. You know, riders know their data really, really well. They really know what they can do. For example, I know if I ride at 182 beats per minute, I can just about survive. If I ride at 184, I've blown.
That's it. It's game over, and
game
you're in
over.
trouble.
Ideally, if I can sit at around 175 to 180, I'm good.
Okay.
But I do know that there is an absolute limit, and I know exactly what that absolute limit is from a heart rate perspective, and these riders will know that. They will know, you know, in my 20s when I used to run really long distance endurance ultra races, I knew I could I could stand and run for 5 hours on 168 beats per minute. And I pretty much did that.
Now, let's see if our riders in Category 2 are going to be able to replicate that. We're on to the climb. They are now making their way up onto the slopes. This is where they've got to replicate that. And where we talk about the heart rate change and that being really critical, we're going to see that. And it is much easier to push too hard on a climb than it is on a downhill, because you've got gravity pulling you along on the downhill. On the climb, it's working against you. And we now have 3 out of our 4 categories on the slopes of the Jebel Hafid. We have category of 4, the leader on the road already, well away. Florian Dromard leading the race out. He's up at the front. He's being chased. He is well into his last few kilometres. We have on the lower slopes at 62 kilometres, just under 62 kilometres. You can see Camel Canth. It looks like, I suspect, a couple of K up the road for the leaders. The leaders in category 2, well, that is Spratt and Co. at the moment. It is this group of riders with Spratt, Meyer in there, Duque holding the wheels, Maglio not all that far behind, certainly a closable gap at this stage. We have in category 1 Michael Vink remaining clear, but the riders now on a slight rise as we come around this sweeping right-hand bend. And this rise is going to potentially start to take its toll if these riders are not careful. And as you can see, just coming around this sweeping bend here, looks like Mr. X100 sat in this group. And really interesting, you can just see Popovic is sat in here, Knudsen sat in here. Mr. X100 is having to refrain from going on the front and putting in a classic attack, because he knows down the road that their potential GC winner, Michael Vink, is now nearly 1 minute, 1 minute down the road.
Yeah, well, 1 minute down the road, and he's sticking bang on that 6 watts per kilo as he continues to push. Panizza, Noren van den Eckhart, Popovic, Safrasad, Vujasin, Nair, all in this chase group, and the pace is completely different, Matt. Take a look at that. You're right, 1 minute now, this gap.
Well, that is substantial. If this was a race on the road out in the countryside, at 1 minute you'd be pulling in the neutral service. You'd be bringing cars into the gap between our leader and our group in second position, and I am not going to call them chasers for fear of being told off from the other side of the commentary box, because I think they're dead right. They are not chasing now. They're going to let this unfold on the slopes. They're going to save their effort, and it could well be that if we see Vink time trial his way to the summit and continue this pace at 6 watts per kilo, that the riders behind can use the slopes of the Yellow Hafid to go up onto the climb and really kick and pull time back there, because 1 minute is not a huge gap on a mountain.
No, well, on a mountain as well is Dromard at the moment, and he has absolutely been class up this climb today, because Dromard continuing to push and continuing to lead that category 4 race.
And a category 2 race on the right-hand side of your screen, Castle and Mayer, Henry Oisa, Andre Duque as well. They're on a real steep section. You come around this long left-hand bend. It quickly switches to a right. The gradient fluctuates slightly, but we're talking 10%. It really is tough stuff. Now, we're on the descent here with Michael Vink, and you can see at the moment the watts per kilo had dropped slightly. He's got to go up through the gears. He's got to push at that 6 watts per kilo. Look at the numbers behind. It's not going to be very easy. And part of the problem for the riders behind is that if they chase hard and they expend energy into the climb, who's going to chase? Well, it's not going to be the clan team. It's going to be everybody else. And if that is the case, they are then basically giving an easier ride to anybody who sits in and doesn't do a turn. Well, that's going to be the clan team.
Wow.
So this is a real Hobson's choice here. You really cannot go too hard because you're towing teammates. And, you know, there are teammates who can climb just as well, potentially, as Vink on the way through there. People like Knudsen, Popovic, who can climb very, very strongly indeed.
And I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see when we get to that climb. It's all right, I've just seen the watts per kilo of this group go sub 2. But I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see them wait until they get to the bottom of that climb, and that last 10 kilometres absolutely light up.
Well, they're freewheeling down here. I mean, this is a descent. You know, we're coming down here. We're doing 40k an hour. On a slope, you could do 70k an hour on. That is not pushing in. That is really interesting for me. And it's going to be really telling. Now, you can see, so we drop back. Great story today from the Quadrelli brothers. They've gone out and they have chosen their day to go hard. The day before the rest day, Florian Drummond may be leading in the Category 4, but I tell you something, if we were giving out combative prizes to riders, it would be tied. They'd be sharing it, and it would be between our Quadrelli brothers. They really have been taking it on. Now, Filippo is leading Category 3. Enrico is second place in Category 4. Drummond is up the road at the moment, but surely Enrico is not going to want to tow anybody into the finish. Now, next time marker I have just seen go through, because I am seeing the Michael Vink, the chasing group gap open to 1 minute 30 at the moment. So 1 minute 30, the gap between our leader and the group of riders behind. Meanwhile, in Category 2, this group is not breaking. We are now at 61.4k of the mountain slopes. We're seeing the riders at the moment not breaking this apart. You're in with a group of riders, Emma, who are very similar.
Yeah,
everybody's
absolutely.
holding together.
Absolutely.
What you do here, you have to wait until there is something that suits you. Either the climb, it gets steeper if you're a lighter rider, it gets flatter if you're a stronger, bigger rider, or maybe you just all wait for the final sprint.
Well, there's 8.5 kilometres still to go of this climb, Matt. That is a lot of racing still to take place. You're right, this group are exceptionally well matched, and we see that with Category 2 in the women's as well as in the men's. Very, very closely matched riders. So great competition, great viewing, but really hard racing.
Yeah, very definitely really hard racing on the way through. And I think that's going to be very, very tough stuff indeed. Now, Florian Drummond has come through the 67.8k marker at the moment. He is continuing to push on. Drummond really climbing well at the moment on the slopes of the mountain. He's trying to get himself into the finish in first place, but he knows he's got to get to 70 kilometers. I tell you one thing that really surprises me, Emma, is that his revs, his pedal cadence is so low. He's really grinding a big gear here.
Yeah, well, personal choice, I think, Matt. Not all of us have high revs, but that is particularly low on this climb. So Drummond there pushing a bigger gear up that climb than Quadrelli in Category 3. And indeed, the leader of Category 2 at the moment, Vink, pushing on big style in Category number 1. And they must be about to come up onto that sprint, that final sprint of the day at 55 kilometres.
Yeah, you can see a good time in there, Emma. The chasing group are about to hit this. And are any of these riders going to go for the sprint? They are. You just seen an absolutely rocket move go through, but not keep on pushing. Really interesting. Riders started to squeeze there, but not necessarily to kick all the way in and through. And I think they've got their eyes on the prize here of the very last thing. Now, you can just see the kick going. And it looks to me like one of our riders will be able to take what should be a relatively easy lead, but we don't have Forza in here. Now, that was Saeed Safrazad, and the reason he went so hard is because he knows that Ross Forza is not in that group and will not have scored any points whatsoever.
Yet.
And yet is a very big word, because Saeed Safrazad is likely to go for the climb as well. Ross Fawcett, I would imagine, is going to tap his way up that climb and go at a nice tempo, not at an absolutely slay yourself tempo up there. And that means he can go really big on this sprint. 768 watts is good. It's enough to secure second place.
Well, it is.
I don't think it's enough.
But
for
also,
first.
I think this gives us a really good look at who's in that group, Matt. So Safrazad, Mel, Walter, Bjorklund, Zanaska, Kaminsky, Theme, Graves, Cutler, Vink is the rider out front, X100 and Panizza.
And I think this leading group of riders, not our solo leader, but the leading group of riders in Category 1 will also contain all of the riders who will make the team race set pretty much in stone as we move away from the first half of the racing in to the second part, which is going to come up when we come back after the rest day, because I think you're going to see potentially the top 3 teams come out of that break. Out of the leading group of riders in Category 1. That's going to be really, really instrumental in the racing. Now, looking at Florian Dromard here on the upper slopes of the Jebel Hafid, he is at 68.87k. He's on a 10% slope here. He has got the gap on Quadrelli, and I think that gap is big enough that he doesn't need to worry about being caught. Currently doing 15 kilometers an hour, and we're going to see if he's going to be able to stay clear. Remember that Quadrelli is in a real battle with Cavajal, and that will be doing a real power to their speed, because I can't imagine that they're going slowly. They'll know that if they keep going, if Dromard really does blow, they've got a chance of getting him back.
Take a look. You can just see them flipping onto that top right-hand corner screen. There's a little small red blob that indicates the rider just coming up and on and off out of shot. But Dromard continues to push. He's got less than 1 kilometre to go now until he sees the checkered flag at the top of this mountain.
And the top of this mountain is a very technical finish. So for those of you who have not watched this summit finish, you've not been up here, you rise up here between the fence and the wall side. We come up, you can see on the profile, we go over the top, it dips down, and then it comes round a bend and up again. When that happens, momentum is key, and riding that correctly can win or lose you 5, maybe 10 positions if you come in with a group, and it can lose you substantial time as well.
I tell you what, Matt, Quadrelli is absolutely putting in a huge effort here. Quadrelli is kicking hard. He's seen, in fact, he was coming onto the back of Dromard, and he saw that Dromard was tiring, and he can see that banner. That is the end of the segment. Then they've still got the run into the line, but Quadrelli there pushing on for the segment. Quadrelli pushing on, taking that spotty jersey. Dromard now in 2. Dromard, I think, is going to lose this race as well now, Matt, because Quadrelli has been super motivated.
Super motivated and perfect timing. You saw the jersey change. He literally ripped it off the shoulders of Dromard as he came past. He's pulled it on whilst he's on his way into the finish. Are we going to see Quadrelli taking the win? It's not over yet, because Dromard is trying to close him down. So is Cavajal. Quadrelli has the front. He's searching for the banner. It is around the left-hand bend. I can feel his thighs exploding from here because he's out with the saddle. Come on, Forza, Forza, this is it. Come on, this is the last push. He's got to make this. He's got to keep kicking, but look at Dromard and Cavajal. They're having a battle behind. This is all about that final run to the line. They're going to come around the turn at the top. The gradient changes to a downhill. His legs will have gone to jelly, and he's going to make it. It's a win today for Enrico Quadrelli. What a ride by our Category 4 winner.
Well, it's a ride for Quadrelli. He's the first over the line, but the fight is on for second behind, and Cavajal has taken Dromard. So Dromard having problems in the final few sections, probably with his legs, because he's down at 1 watt per kilo. This climb has absolutely floored him. The performance from Florian Dromard has been absolutely outstanding, but the last 700 metres have absolutely torn him apart as Dromard comes over the line in third.
Well, he can take some heart from that, because, oh my goodness, they've got some big-time gaps behind them as well. So at the top of the climb there, the end of that stage, Quadrelli came over in top spot. The time gap back is 11 seconds back to Cavajal. Dromard is at 31 seconds, but Suarez was at over 2.5 minutes behind Dromard. Could this be the race-winning move? Will we see the race winner come from one of the 3 riders in the top 3 of today's stage number 4, Category 4? What a performance. Now, let's switch back to Category 3. They are still down the slopes. Now, if this man has not got motivation, From what he's just seen,
I so want them
there's
to be riding
something
in the
wrong.
same room because one of them will now be screaming at the other.
I'm not sure the one that's screaming at the other has got any legs or breath left to do so. So Filippo now has 32 seconds. But remember, Dromard had over that at this same stage. This could change. Behind, it's only, and I'm going to say only, 1 minute 40 or so to Hedina, to Phillips, to the riders who are chasing behind. And Stefan Hedina has proved himself class act. He's our young rider, so he is going to be motivated as well. Can he close in? Now, Category 1, with all that excitement, Category 1 have continued onwards. The status quo has been maintained in terms of position because Category 1 are there. Michael Vink is leading in 1. The chasing group, loosely chasing group, are behind, the bunch is behind, and now we're starting to see the pull up onto the slopes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's at the two alternate ends of this climb at the moment, whilst the finishes are taking place for Category 4 and Category 3. Category 1 are on the lower sections at the moment. Vink has got around 950 metres on this group.
So the riders are up onto the slopes at the moment, and we're just going to take a run across to Category 2 here, as you can see Maglio with a little bit of a gap back to Spratt, to Duque, and to Ace. And these riders continue to push onwards at the moment. They're at 64.2, so they are approaching halfway up the climb at the moment. Remember, this climb, a 10.6k climb in its totality. But at the moment, it's Maglio who has that slight gap. It's only 1 or 2 seconds, but you can see it on your screen, and it's Duque is coming through. So Duque closing with Spratt, not all that far behind. A slightly large gap to Henry Ace, who's got to get into position and get on to the heels, sit on that back wheel behind Spratt in that polka dot jersey. So Maglio in the yellow, Duque in the green, and it is Spratt in the polka dot jersey. Your 3 leaders on this climb. They've managed to open up a gap on the 4th place rider. They are trying to stretch that out in Category 2. Category 3, well, it is Quadrelli who has that gap.
Yeah, he does indeed. And coming up to 3 kilometres to go in that Category 3 race for Filippo Quadrelli. You know, whilst the lead of that Category 2 race, Matt, you know, they're not that far behind. They are coming up for 64, just over 64.5k. So Category 2 chasing hard on the wheels of Category 3 as Quadrelli continues now moving into his final 3k of his race today.
And jumping back down to our Category 1 peloton, and they've dropped at least 1 rider. It's that Bart van der Neekhout who's gone off the back of the pack. We've certainly lost at least 1 rider from this group. I think Van Elst is definitely nicely tucked into this pack, but this is where the gradient really bites. Come around the right-hand hairpin turn here, and you can see that gradient is ramping up. It's starting to take effect. It eases as we take this right-hand turn, but very quickly into a left, and there is another push coming on the front. Every time there's a squeeze, we are seeing riders being a distance behind, and this is now starting to unwind. They are at 60.8k. At 61.7 is Michael Vink. Vink at the moment is still holding, I think that's 5.9 watts per kilo.
Yeah, well, this chase group have got 9.1 kilometres to go, but it's still a huge chasing group, Matt. There's still more than 18 riders in this group.
Wow.
So, I know, but take a look at this. There may be 18 riders in this group, but this climb is now getting steep, and they are now pushing on at the front. And some class riders we've been talking about in this group. So Popovic starting to come to the fore, Van Elst, Zaneska. Kaminsky is in here too, but these riders pushing on really strongly. Van Diemen is in there as well. He is up there pushing on. Nair is the one doing some damage at the front. X100 covering the back here, well, covering the mid part of this group, should I say, as we continue to see this Category 1 group climb.
Indeed, Zach. Now the Italian Gelato squad really working well. He wants to be right in this mix. We've seen Kaminsky from the Belgian Waffle squad ride strongly. He's been very quiet in that group, not doing too much work. And I think the riders, by not chasing Vink, have put themselves in a great position to really accelerate up. But it's Michael Knudsen who is now on the attack on the front. So it's Knudsen who has managed to open a little bit of a gap here. And he must be certain in the knowledge that Michael Vink will go up. Well, we said that Michael Knudsen had done a Michael Vink and taken over his mantle on the Sunday Race Club. Let's see if Knudsen can make his way across without bringing the rest of the group up to Vink. Vink is looking good on the front, but Knudsen is closed down by Van Diemen, and I think Knudsen has got his hands full with dealing with the riders around him, never mind doing a Vink at the front.
Absolutely, because the riders around him are absolutely strong, and they are showing that today on this Category 1 climb. They are heading up the Hebel Hafit. They are moving into the latter stages of this race today as we see the riders. Well, I think we would expect this group to be here, but they have already started to drop others. So Cutler 2 seconds back, Venden Eckhout behind him. So now whistling this group down, we've got Vink out front and 13 riders chasing.
Okay, let's jump in with categories 2 and 3. The two other categories still left on the hillside to decide the top 3 places. Quadrelli still leading in category 3. Category 2, well, you can see that it is Spratt, Maglio and Duque. They have dispatched aces now, not even on our sat-nav view, and it means that there are 3 riders fighting it out. Your yellow jersey is in here in the shape of Maglio. You've got Spratt in here in the polka dot jersey, and you've got Duque in the green jersey. They are on your screens on the left-hand side at 65.6k. And you can just see behind Quadrelli, the riders are really trying to push. And it is a real battle because you've got the polka dot jersey in there. You've got our young rider who also holds the yellow jersey in there as well. And they're all chasing Quadrelli, who is your sole leader in category 3.
He is indeed. So Quadrelli continues to move and continues to move strongly. 1.4 kilometers left to go for Quadrelli until he sees that finishing flag, that checkered flag that will indicate the banner is there, that yellow finishing banner. Now, before he gets there, he is going to move under the polka dot banner, which signifies the end of the climb segment, the end of that category 1 climb. Now, will Quadrelli also have the fastest time up these climb and take those 10 points? Or will one of the riders behind push on in the latter stages and take those points in category 3?
So here we go. This is Quadrelli heading up for the summit here. He's on his way up. He's got 45 seconds, nearly a minute to the riders behind him. And that is going to be key. It yo-yos as the pace varies, as we've seen. So you can see that we've got Quadrelli on his way up now. Remember, we've got that dip, rise and spin round the top. The plateau, the flat section, is that U-turn section round. He's got to keep on pushing, though, because he can't afford to relax. We saw what happened previously. Now, Enrico Quadrelli benefited from it and went over the top of Dromard up in the top of 3 fighter places. So we've got Quadrelli in 1. He is clear at the moment, and you can see that that gap has really opened up. Will anybody be able to go back? Cavajal is the rider. He's in second place here. So that is David Cavajal on his way up. Then Stefan Hadina going through. Then it is going to be Valencia taking the 4th place spot on the road with Phillips for company. But I tell you something, Quadrelli is going to surely take away the polka dot banner first. But
Wow.
has he done enough? Look at the time gap coming down here. Will he get caught out? He will have seen what happened before. Surely that is a warning.
Well, he's pushing on at 5 watts per kilo, but behind him, Gomez Valencia is pushing on at 6 watts per kilo. So they've seen what's happened in that Category 4 race, and they have not given up.
They certainly haven't, but the pace really picked up. You saw the speed rocket as he went down in the dip. He's now got his final meters of ascent on this climb. He's in front of Kakahal, who's trying to close down the gap here, but Quadrelli's time up that climb, 35 minutes and 7 seconds. Don't worry, buddy, it's going to be over soon. He can see the mountain top finish behind him. He can see the yellow banner coming up in front of him now, and he's really fighting now. He's not going to have the fastest time up that climb. I think that has changed. We'll get confirmation on our results a little bit later. But look at Quadrelli. He's fighting every single pedal stroke now. This is where it's going to count. He comes out on to the top of the plateau. He's only got this left-hand turn to take, and he is going to be coming in to the line. This is going to be 2 categories home. This time, Filippo Quadrelli joins his brother in taking victory today. Filippo takes the win in Category 3 here, and he is currently our leader on the road. It's going to be Kakahal who's going to come in and through behind him, but the gap is coming down here. He has got the chase on. I'm seeing the dots come up, and I am seeing the kick coming. Who's going to have the power to do this? You can see it's Valencia who's going to go over the top. Has he done enough? Hedina is not that far behind him, but surely Daniel is going to kick to the line. He's going to go for it. He's going to be the man who's going to take second place. It's unwinding behind him. Hedina has only just got the head, but he's going to take it, I think, from Phillips. So he goes over the line. Hedina, then Phillips in 3 and 4 in that order. And at the end of that marathon climb up, what a race. It is Quadrelli in 1, Valencia in 2, Kakahal in 3, and then you're going to see Hedina and Phillips in 4th and 5th places.
Well, take a look at that time, Matt. 2 hours and 23 minutes for Quadrelli, 2:24 for Valencia, Kakahal, Hedina and Phillips. There is 49 seconds separating the top 5 there after that 10-kilometre climb.
My legs are cramping in the studio just
race.
in sympathy
with
those riders. What a race and what a battle. Now let's take a look back at Category 1. I'll tell you something, these Category 1 and 2 riders have got something to live up to. Category 1, Michael Vink at the moment, he has got a gap, and it's still holding at 1 minute at the moment in Category 1. In Category 2, well, we thought it was close before. These 3 riders are still together. We are at 67.3k in the Category 2 race. We have got 3 riders up clear. They've got 30 seconds on Henry Uys here behind, 1 minute 45 behind Oyster Parisi and co. I tell you something, Maglio, Spratt and Duque might think 25 seconds is enough, but it's been proved time and time again on the very top of this mountain with that dip and rise. It can catch people down. And it's all about what state your legs are in after 30 plus minutes of climbing.
It's all about timing and technique as well in terms of getting to that finish line, Matt, because that climb, the descent and then the climb, you know, it is all about momentum and where and how you engage that momentum to your benefit.
It is indeed. Now, just taking a little bit of a look behind Michael Vink into this group behind, because you can just see that Knudsen, Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic, Said Safrasad, SS all together. Zach now is by no means out of that at 9 seconds, and they will know exactly what's happened. I'm sure they are watching the images on the screens as well as on the ride screen from the footage to know exactly where they need to push, what they need to push, and how hard they need to push. Van Diemen and Net are at about 10-11 seconds back. It's yo-yoing a little bit from the chasing group of Knudsen, Safrasad, SS and Mr. X100. Michael Vink is up at the front of this, and at the moment Say Safrazad is the only interloper in a UAE clan party.
Well, that is it, isn't it? Because it is looking like just shy of 500 meters up the road is Michael Vink, but they are 500 steep meters because the gradient at the moment, nearly 9% for our chasing group, 7.7% underneath Vink's wheels as he continues to push and continues to lead this race. 1 minute 11, 1 minute 9, 1 minute 5, just fluctuating around as the pace and gradient changes. But Knudsen, Safrazad, Popovic, X100 and SS, you know, Nair is doing the chasing. But you are right, Matt, this is just a UAE clan show.
I'll tell you something, they came here with a game plan today and they have executed it, and the one rider who has not been fazed by it is a rider who has regularly ridden in that UAE clan team. That is Saeed Safrazad, and he will have known exactly what they were going to get up to because he will have ridden. He'll know how strong their team tactics are. As Mr. X100 now lifts the pace in that chasing group, they know that they've got Vink clear by over a minute. They know that that is a secure gap, that for all of the yo-yoing, they're not likely to pull that back. And now it's about making sure that what they do is they secure that team win on the way through. They're going to be looking to set a time down that will put them right up in the standings in the individual competition overall. And time gaps are so critical on the stage race. So whilst you might be securing a performance on a one-day race, you are not securing that here today. And again, another push. Michael Knudsen went from the back to the front there, didn't he, Emma?
Yeah, he did indeed, but I wouldn't discount the chasing group at the moment, Matt. We've seen gaps of 30 seconds absolutely disappear in the last 700 metres. So never discount that group because Pim van Diemen is in there, Zach Nair is in there, you know, absolutely class riders. And hopefully they will have been watching the Category 4 and Category 3 finish and absolutely taking motivation from that.
Yep, definitely, because if there is a climber finish that can catch riders out, this is it. Look at Michael Vink, though, 40 kilometres an hour. He's doing 25 miles an hour. He's on a 2% slope, but do you know what? It's basically heading towards the top of the mountain. He is at 66 kilometres covered, and he's still able to get out the saddle and sprint his way along that fast section. It would be really easy to just use that as recovery. He didn't do that. He wound up the pace. Really, really interesting. We will come back to the battle and this fantastic fight in Category 1 very shortly, because I think we can't be far off our Category 2 riders are making the way into the finish as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all the action. Here we go. We're on that final run up here. This is going to be all about the sprint here, Emma. And this is the run for the line.
Yeah, so 950 metres to go now for our Category 2 races. We've got Maglio, Duque, Spratt in here. They've got a 45-second lead on fourth place. These three riders are absolutely neck and neck. They have been neck and neck all the way, 10 kilometres up this climb today. They will very shortly be seeing the end of the climb banner, and the kick comes here to get across that line, and the kick coming hard from Duque.
Now he's gone hard, he's gone sprinting over the top. We've seen this before though. Has he got the momentum? Is he going to get this right? Is Maglio going to get this right? Maglio, Spratt and Duque have all ridden this climb before. Of them, I think Maglio has probably ridden it the most, but has he learned from that experience? This is where we find out. They're going to come together on the final rise here. It's about speed, momentum, power, and how much are you prepared to hurt yourself on this climb? How much do you want it? Who wants it the most at the moment? Maglio has the lead, and they are all responding. Spratt is at the back of this group. Can he come back? Maglio in the yellow jersey is leading them up here. Duque is behind. Spratt is in third place. I think those gaps have opened up enough, but look at this. Duque's got something left. He's coming after him. Spratt is done. He's gone. And Maglio is continuing to wind. Cristiano Maglio takes the line with Duque in second, and Spratt is going to come through in third place.
Wow, what an absolute category to finish. These finishes today are not disappointing as Spratt comes over the line in third place. So let's all take a breath.
Breath? What's that?
I think the riders are absolutely taking a breath at the moment. They are falling off of those bikes as we come to those category 2 overall results on stage 4 of the MyWhoosh Championships. And Christian Maglio from Café de Colombia takes it in 2 hours, 11 minutes, 42 seconds. Duke in 2, Spratt in 3.
I'll tell you something, that is a just reward for the Café de Colombia squad. They were the first team to attack. They were repeatedly attacked from the very start today in Category 2, and they have taken away victory today. Just rewards for an aggressive race. Brilliant race finish. I'll tell you something, what's going to be really interesting, and we're going to get this out of the way now before we focus on the finish of the Category 1 race, is when we do our epic mountain stage. Oh, you can tell I'm excited.
You're excited
I'm jumping
already,
up and down in the studio here. When we come into the finish of the epic mountain stage, we are going to be finishing with a very fun finish climb, because guess where we finish? Right up here. So we are going to go over the Jebel Yates. We've got 15k of ascent and descent, and we've got the climb to finish off that provides us with a grandstand finish from riders all the way to the line. That is going to be a monster of a stage, and we've still got this one to finish, because whilst we've got one rider clear at the front in Michael Vink, behind you have got Saeed Safrazad trying to take on the might of the UAE clan team, and if anybody can, tell you what, Safrazad can.
Well, there is a catchphrase for anybody, but he is quite correct, as Matt is saying. Vink in 1, Knudsen in 2, Popovic in 3, Safrazad in 4, X100 in 5, and SS rounding out this group in 6. Van Diemen, though, 7 seconds back now, Matt. He is absolutely, I think, going to make the juncture to this group, because he is climbing so strongly. Now, he was in a group with Nair behind, and we said don't discount that group. Well, he's absolutely proving us right.
He is, and is this about getting the pacing right? I mean, you see it in marathons, you see it running, you see it on races, you see it in team pursuits, we see it on road. If you get the timing right, particularly when it gets tough, you can make up a lot of ground, and we can see Pim van Diemen is coming, and I don't think there is a response coming from the 5 riders in the second position on the road. Remember, Vink in 1, solo, 1.5 minutes clear on the left of your screen. Then we have this group that is on the right of our screen. That is group on the road. It's first group. It's second set of riders, though. Vink in 1. This group are 2. Behind, Van Diemen is trying to make the close. He's making the catch, and he has the advantage that he could get there because he's seeing people start to drop. SS is now off the back of the group, just hanging on the back as the pressure goes on the front, and it's Saeed Safrazad doing that. And I tell you what's unfolding here. It's the King of the Mountains that's unfolding, because Safrazad knows that Van Diemen is a threat to the King of the Mountains overall, and I think that it could go either way here today, Van Diemen or to Safrazad. I've done some quick calculations in my head, very dangerous, I know, but don't stop laughing in the commentary box. I know it's dangerous, but I think that is why you're seeing Saeed Safrazad so afraid of Van Diemen making it up here. He does not want to give him the chance to take away those points. So many stories unfolding on the slopes of the Jebel Hafid today. What's going to happen? Will we have our solo win for Vink? And we've already seen 2 Quadrellis taking the win. We've seen Maglio got himself up there, powered by coffee from the Café de Colombia squad. Who's going to take this? Well, Vink should get the win, but it's the battle behind, the fight for positions in all of our categories that are now starting to unfold. Wow. And remember, we've got riders all the way across this course, because we have riders who've had a good day, a bad day. Some riders like Ross Fawcett sprinting his way behind the group and maybe putting it to good effect and taking away a green jersey.
Well, that is indeed the sprint competition, but let's not forget this Category 1 climb rewards riders much more than the previous climbs that we have had so far on the MyWhoosh Championship. So 10 points for first place, 8 for second, 6 for third, 4 for fourth, and 2 for fifth. So double points available today in that King of the Mountains competition. And at the moment, it's probably between Vink and Van Diem, because Vink is pushing on at the front here, but Van Diem has closed a big gap down on that group. So at the moment, I would guesstimate those are the 2 fastest times so far.
On the climb, on the mountain segment. Cool. Right. Glad we've got Emma here to clarify things. In my excitement, big hole in
Nothing
the sea.
wrong with being excited about bike racing.
I would. Do you know what? We agree on that one as well. We've got to be careful. That's twice in a day. Right. Okay. So let's get ready for our finish. Riders to watch here. Let's try and give you some identification of the riders who are kicking on here. Now, Michael Vink is clear at the front. He is the rider who has the all-in-one yellow skin suit. On your screens at the moment, you can just see Vink. He is solo. He's a rider number 1. He has the gap of about a minute. He's about to come up to the top of the summit where the mountain finishes. He's got the dip and rise. Behind him, you can see this is the chasing group behind. So 3 riders are chasing. Now, Michael Knudsen is the rider with no hair. Pablo Popovic is the rider with the black helmet and the blue gloves on the front. Saeed Safrizad is the rider with them, and Mr. X100 is the rider in the blue. We'll come back to them because the rider who's taken the first over the line in the Polkadot gantry position, that is going to be Michael Vink. Will he hold that? We will see. He's now on his run in. The gap has come down, but masterclass day. Michael Vink, cometh the day, cometh the man, cometh Michael Vink, because he has really shown us. He was away after kilometre 2. He did 8 kilometres solo at the start of today. If he wasn't content with that, he and the team attacked everybody all day long. He's going to come into this finish in style. All the riders know they want to get their arms aloft solo into a finish, and Michael Vink is going to be able to do that. On the right of your screens, Michael Knudsen is the rider who's kicked hardest for the line at the Polkadot banner. He's going to come through. Has he got the pace? We will see, but it's Michael Vink, the man who dominated the Sunday Race Club. He's coming through the final sprint. He's making every second count. Michael Vink takes the Category 1 win here at the top of the Jebel Hafeet, here on stage 4 of the racing. Now, Pablo Popovic, the man that we know as Momentum Master, has used it, but has he used it well enough? SS comes over the top, and this is SS. He has been the workhorse of the team up till now. He's going to come through, and he's got the gap. I tell you something, is there no stopping him? He's continuing to push. His legs are absolutely seizing. You can see behind him, Knudsen and Popovic are continuing to kick. Are they going to close down on him as he comes on the line? They are. They're coming round at pace. Popovic is going to come through with Knudsen. Knudsen comes through over the line in second. It's Popovic in third. It's going to be SS in 4. It's going to be Mr. X100 in 5. The UAE clan team get every rider home before we see Van Diemen, who almost closed them down. He's going to come through in 6th position. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The UAE clan team come home.
They do indeed, and Michael Vink taking the win in 1 hour 59.28 seconds. The only rider under 2 hours today. Knudsen in 2, Popovic in 3, SS coming in 4. But Matt, it's not a big time gap, 47 seconds.
It's not as big as it could have been. We've just seen Saeed Safrizad go in over the line there. He has given away 1 minute 27 to Michael Vink there, and Pim van Diemen came in front of him, 20 seconds in front. The Belgian Waffles team, well represented by Vujasin van Elsack, now on another good day here. And as you can see, these are the time gaps at the top of the standings. The time gaps behind will be substantial, so make sure that you get yourselves on to the MyWhoosh.com website for all of those results. Remember, the race is live until all of our riders finish. It will then be an unofficial race result, and those results will need to be verified to check the performances of the riders and the equipment on the way through. Now, just seeing the Italian Gelato squad getting their third finisher here in Luca Zanasca. So that will put them in good stead with Van Diemen, Nair and Zanasca. This could well put them into second place, I think, in the team competition and really cement that at the moment. We'll have to see where the next Belgian Waffles rider is. The Sticky Bun Club, well, they have got Saeed Safrazad right up there in the mountains competition. Remember, Ross Fawcett, he's probably somewhere near the bottom of the mountain. He's been concentrating on the sprints for that same team. Great racing across all of our categories, rounded off with our Category 1 riders. Emma, that was an absolute crack. I mean, 2 races today, the women's and the men's, both have been astounding. What a finish. Rest day tomorrow. Riders need to get some quick recovery in before we come back with a monumental set of 3 stages to the end.
Yeah, we do indeed come back with a monumental set of 3 stages after the rest day. Stage 5, 1,735 metres of climbing. We have a Category 1 and a Hawk category climb there. Then at stage 6, the time trial. Stage 7, now that is pretty flat, and I think it's one for the sprinters.
So those are the 3 remaining stages. And, of course, our longest climb coming up when we come back. Tomorrow we will be busy doing our recovery and homework. I hope you have a great day off and maybe catch up with the women's race. We'll be bringing you all the action. It's been great to be in the studio. My name's Matt Payne. You can catch up with me on social media at MattFixPayne. It's been a pleasure putting words to the action with Emma Martin. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at BikingEmma. Or, of course, MyWhoosh. Please make sure when you're on social media, give them a follow on all the social media platforms.
And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the Twitch TV channel. It's Twitch at MyWhoosh live on there. Don't forget, of course, we'll be back with lots more action. And, of course, you can join in if you fancy spinning your legs around. Maybe take on the climb of the Hebel Hafit. Make sure that you jump on to MyWhoosh. You can get all of the details at www.mywhoosh.com. So from Emma, from myself, from the amazing team behind the scenes who make all of this possible, have a great day tomorrow. We will be back in 2 days' time for stage number 5. It's going to be a cracker. Make sure you're fueled up and ready to go. We will be. We'll see you there then.
Bye.